10 minutes later, 2 blocks away. Robin watched the guards as they were negotiating with some people who were all wearing kitchen aprons and were stained with blood all over. They didn't look like trained soldiers, yet their aura was extremely dark and suffocating. The negotiations continued for about another 5 minutes until the fattest and oldest chef among them ordered one of his boys to bring black notes from inside. The deal to sell the girls was already done. Robin reached out his hand and took out 2 fireball talismans. The strongest one of these bunch was one of the chefs, and his strength was about that of a low-level saint. 1 fireball would take care of him, and the other would kill the rest of the guards or at least scare them away. After that, he would take Lori with him and order the rest of the girls to run in different directions. Everything should be fine by then. At least he would be able to save Lori and a few of the girls. But after he took a step forward, Robin suddenly stopped. He felt a tightness in his chest. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't take another step, as if his feet were refusing to carry out his orders. This feeling, as if he had grasped something, Robin stretched his senses to as far as possible, and his eyes went wide as soon as he did. The chief of the city guards, and with him a few individuals wearing black cloaks covering their heads and faces, were hiding on the roofs of buildings and in the adjacent alleys around him. The whole place was surrounded. Damn it! Robin clutched the 2 talismans. The number of hiding people is large, and some of them are at medium or high saint level. Even excluding the saints, he would have big problems trying to escape from these knights if they knew where he is right now. Then what would happen if he take Lori with him as well? If he showed himself now, he would be dead. No, please no. Let's work as your servants. We can do anything for you. While Robin was trying to come up with a plan, he heard a voice that made his heartbeat go wild as one of the girls fall to the ground and starts wailing. The owner of the restaurant bent down and grabbed that girl by the neck and lifted her up until her feet were no longer on the ground, and then started talking to her, ignoring that she was choking. Servants? I don't need this. Do you know when was the last time I was able to get human girls of your age to be added to the menu? The number of idiots among our race is not small. They think you are their pets or something. They say it is not right to eat you. The girl's eyes went up. She almost died of suffocation. But that didn't stop the owner of the restaurant from continuing. When will people realize that you are just another lowly race? What is the difference between you and any other livestock? Servants? No, my dear, I don't want that. I'll make dishes out of your arms first, then your feet and breasts. I will cut you piece by piece while you are still alive, and then finally slaughter you for your guts, and then, boss, if she dies of suffocation, the blood will be trapped in her body and it will not taste that delicious anymore. One of the chefs pokes the owner of the restaurant in the shoulder, causing him to lose his train of thought. TCH. You are right, said the head of the restaurant in anger, then threw the girl into the restaurant. Robin's features turned dark when he heard that terrifying speech. He can't leave Lori and the rest of the girls here, or they will face a fate much worse than death. The strange thing is that not one of the girls spoke a single word that Robin is behind all this. Speaking now would make the guards lead them to the prison as witnesses. He would completely understand if one of them talked. In fact, he started hoping that one of them. But they still kept their mouths shut. Why were they doing this for him? Those little girls. What kind of determination do they have? He finally made up his mind and looked at Lori, who was still crying out loud, and sent her through the thought-conveying technique. I'm sorry. I swear that I will not allow your sacrifice to go to waste. Lori stopped crying upon hearing the message and looked up at the sky and muttered in a low voice as 2 lines of tears were still flowing. Ancestors, I will see you soon. I hope you all are proud of Lori. At this moment, she felt a piece of beast hide settle on her chest and
Boom.
What was this? Where did the explosion come from? Spread quickly and get who did this. A massive explosion suddenly occurred among the human girls, turning them all into scattered pieces of flesh and blood. And because the chefs and soldiers were all standing next to them for the sake of negotiations, the explosion affected them too, and most of them were killed except for the head of the restaurant, whose front half had been charred and his stomach was slashed with his guts gushing out. But he remained alive, muttering, No, my ingredients. My ingredients is ruined. Ah! Robin ignored him, ignoring the individuals who started moving to shut off the entire area to catch him, and kept his eyes on a separated head that was slowly being devoured by the fire. It was Laurie's. His features were still plain, as if he was looking at something that does not concern him, but only he and the heavens know that the flames on Laurie's head were nothing compared to the anger that started eating up his heart. After about 20 seconds, he took a step back and silently merged with the darkness in the alley. After a few hours, 100 miles away from the city. Damn it! We had to stay inside the city until they caught that guy. One of the 3 remaining giants spoke as he was guiding the carriage that have the remaining prisoners. Just follow the orders. You want the Special Forces envoys to kill us instead. Don't worry. We are safe under their protection and WHOA. The giant's words suddenly stopped in his throat and screamed. Only 2 feet away from the giant, a hanged body fell from the tree and started swinging. It was the body old woman covered with leaves and tree branches, with a cut-off leg. Her thigh bone and flesh were showing terribly, and her face and body showed signs of severe burns and torture. But she wasn't dead yet. She was dying right now in front of them. She is the prisoner who was released after she reported Laurie. Who is here? Who is there? Go away. Leave us, or you will die. One of the 3 giants shouted, and the other 2 came down and stood by him trying to protect each other, but their joints were visibly trembling. Crack! The sound of a broken branch on their left attracted the attention of the 3, and they found a person covered in blood and injuries slowly emerging from behind a tree, holding in his hand a pointy, covered in blood leg bone. Finally, Robin looked up with his eyelashes dripping with blood, and said in a rough voice, "Where are you going? Did you forget about me? TSK, that is not a good way to treat your employees. Fishbones, what are you doing here? Is that the old lady's leg bone in your hand?" So many questions flooded the heads of the 3 giants as they looked at Robin. This cribble was the last person they expected to see here. Fishbones. Fish damn bones. Did you like the name? Is it so funny? Come. We will laugh together today, and because your brothers died easy deaths, you will have their share of laughter add to yours. Robin spoke in annoyance and slowly started walking towards them, extreme rage visible all over his features. "Tsh, I didn't know you had such a big mouth, Fishbones, but you came just in time." The strongest of the 3 giants spoke and then poked the giant to his left. "Bring him and put him in the cage with the rest. We can make up for all our losses as long as he's with us." "Me?" The giant was surprised and took a step to the side and asked, "He has to go to get him alone. Doesn't he see blood on his body? Did he not hear the way he spoke? What about the bone in his hand? Go ahead already. Don't tell me you're afraid of Fishbones, ha ha ha." Eventually, the giant spat on the ground, knowing that he could not escape this. Then he pulled out his dagger and started walking toward Robin. "Lay on your belly and put your hand above your head and you won't get hurt, or else I will." In a blink of an eye, he saw Robin waving his hand in a slashing motion. After that, no word came out of his mouth no matter how hard he tried. After about a second, he began to feel something warm coming down his chest. So he put his hand to feel it, and he found a red sticky liquid covering his neck and chest like a waterfall. "His neck has been cut." The giant slumped back, got down on both knees, and clasped both hands on his throat. The wound wasn't so deep as to kill him outright, but the loss of blood would do the trick if it kept flowing like that. "You!" The other 2 giants took a step back in their fright. "What magic do you use?" Robin did not answer. His gaze seemed unfocused as he kept walking forward. It wasn't even evident if he can see or not from all the blood on his face and eyelashes. Soon he reached the giant who was holding his throat in a kneeling position, and he made another wave with his hand. Another wind blade came out towards the giant's stomach. Just like the wound on his neck, this one also made a horizontal cut just under his abdomen this time, cutting his skin, and flesh as blood began to spray out of it. The giant fell to his side and lowered one of his 2 hands to try to shut the cut on his stomach. As he was on the doorstep of death, Robin ignored him and continued his way toward the other 2, not even sparing him a glance. At this point, it was clear that Robin had made the 2 cuts in this very way in order to prolong the time of death. Gulp. The 2 giants took a few more steps back with their eyes on Robin's hand, trying to figure out where the attack would come from. If I were you, I'd run away now. You can't even imagine what's going on around us right now. This is a tip for you because you were one of our crew. One of the 2 giants spoke tremblingly, still looking around every now and then. A stiff smile appeared on Robin's face when he heard this. You think all these wounds and blood on my body happened from fighting against the old woman? You idiot? You mean? Asked the giant, and terror began to fill his heart. For individuals wearing black cloaks, 3 of them are at the pinnacle of the knight's realm and the 4th is a saint at the elementary levels, right? Robin spoke confidently. The giant did not understand what knights and saints meant, but talking about the 4 in black cloaks was enough to make the giant forget to breathe. The 4 of them were scattered in a circle of 300 meters around you. Finding them and eliminating them silently was not easy. They are masters of stealth and do not fall easily. It took more than 3 hours to kill the last of them. But it is clear from your words that you were aware of their existence. Is this a plan to catch me? They did the same with the girls. Those black cloaks guys are all extremely strong and smart. Who are they exactly? Why would they help a scum with a moving circus like you? Asked Robin, raising an eyebrow, still advancing. You don't know what you got yourself into. You idiot. The black cloaks. They will chase you to the ends of the world until they take your head. Unless you leave now. Yes. Leave now towards the north, and we will tell them that whoever did it head towards the south. The giant spoke quickly, as if he had found a straw to hang on. It became clear that Robin was the one who schemed the killing of their mighty boss. I have another offer. What about I kill you all here? This will better hide my identity. Right? When Robin said the last word, he disappeared from the eyes of the giants. When he reappeared, he was standing behind one of the giants with his sharp leg bone sticking out of his chest. When his teammates saw this, terror filled his heart. Instead of trying to attack Robin that was just a step away from him, he turned and put all his might at his feet, ready to leap with all his might to escape. This is not a fight he could engage in. The giant cried out with all his might after feeling terrible pain in his lower half. When he looked down, he found that both of his legs had been cut off at the knee by a wind blade talisman. Fishbones, Come on. Tell me who is Fishbones. Robin shouted. A crazed look took over his face. Before the 3rd giant realizes what is happening around him, he felt someone pulling him by the hair. Let me go. What more do you want? Leave me alone. A frightening scene. The prisoners watched Robin in horror as he pulled the 2 giants and threw them over the one he slaughtered a moment ago. Then he just stood there, looking at the 3 of them. One was on his way to death from losing blood, the other was stabbed in his lung and still trying to breathe, and the 3rd was losing consciousness from pain and blood loss from his feet. Even if he left them there, they would either die or live a life worse than death. However, this didn't bring him any joy. His mood has only got worse. Pictures of Laurie's cut off, melting head kept showing in front of his eyes. Because of those bastards. Because of him. After a few seconds, he snapped and started shouting at the top of his lunges. Robin Burton, who brought kingdoms to their knees, being shown like a clown in a circus? Me? Robin Burton, was humiliated by scum like you? Me? Then he waved his hand and a black flame went out on the 3 of them. No. Please kill me. Kill me. One of the 3 started crying, but his tears were evaporated as soon as they were formed. Don't stand like that. You animal. Kill me, you coward. Even they didn't know they were screaming because of the severity of the pain from the fire, or because of the deadly aura that was suffocating them to the extreme. The giant's tough body was showing great benefit now, as the burning rate was very slow. Robin also made the temperature as low as it can be on purpose. After a few minutes, before the 3 could finally have their rest and die, he answered the call of the 3 giants and did not stand still. He raised his hand towards the 3 of them and green energy began to descend upon them. It was life energy. Their wounds began to heal quickly, and then burned again. After an hour. Finally, the strongest of them breathed his last, not because of the physical damage, but because his mind died from the severity of the pain. The cries of pain did not stop for a moment during the hour. Neither did Robin take his eyes off the three of them for a single moment. If any younger version of Robin saw his crazy cold look now, he would be terrified to death. Do the three deserve this horrific death? Maybe. Maybe not. But it doesn't matter. In his view, their crime could not be compensated for, even with 1,000 deaths like this. Robin continued to look at the lump of ashes in front of him for another hour with an emotionless face. He only had one thought in mind, one wish. He wished that they would be raised again from the dead, just to bring them to this state again. In the end, he moved his hand and a gust of wind scattered the ashes away. Only a few metallic objects they were carrying remained in their place. As for hair, bones, flesh, and blood, everything evaporated or scattered as if they had never been there to begin with. Then he looked back. The prisoners who were still sober hit their feet on the cage floor and rushed back. Their backs and heads hit the bars and began to bleed. Even those who fainted opened their eyes at the sight of Robin coming toward them. Their hearts stopped for seconds. They were still partially absent-minded after the horror they saw, and the wails they heard for the last hour. Robin turned his body and started walking toward them, then stopped between him and the cage a few steps. "Do you think someone like me can't kill you right now?" The prisoners looked at each other in fear. Then one of them replied, Yes, you can. But please. Shoo!" Robin raised his hand and silenced the prisoner, then lowered it behind his back. "You want me to release you? Suppose I released you now and the Black Cloaks captured you and forced you to confess who the killer was. What would I use then? Maybe I should just kill you now. I tell them about you? What could the Black Cloaks guys do to me more than you did to those three? Please, let us go. I swear I will kill myself if I was useless enough to get caught again. I also swear that I will kill myself if the Black Robes catch me." "Me too." Robin did not add another word. He used the major law of the wind to carry the keys from the place and threw them inside the cage. Then he disappeared. It would be more useful if the investigation said that the prisoners had disappeared from the scene of the accident. This would greatly expand the search for them to include a rival circus, bandits, or a former prisoner who wants revenge. And after what he just did, this was his way to cure his soul. He can't let the remaining part of his humanity be lost. Not yet. 3 days later, on a mountain peak, tens of miles from the scene of the killing of the three giants. "Who?" Robin let out a long exhale. He finally broke through to level 18. Then he opened his eyes and looked down. Dozens of miles away in front of him, another city of the giants, one that matches the cities he had seen earlier in his visits. High wooden walls, people dressed in beast hides, and slave politics were still prevalent here even if they had taken on another, more cruel form. Isn't this planet supposed to be hundreds of thousands of years ahead of my own? Why are the people here still behaving so primitively? Thought Robin. Not to mention the 4 mythical empires that he only heard about from the legends. The understructure he sees now can't even be compared to the Black Sun Kingdom. Maybe because of the wars that keep them where they are. But he hadn't seen any wars or battles since he arrived. He hadn't even noticed the anxiety among the giants yet, or heard a word from someone on the street about a possible battle. This place lives in peace. While Robin was trying to solve the dilemma in front of him, his spiritual sense picked up something and quickly looked to his left. TCH. Robin's face turned for the worse and then disappeared into the shadows under his feet. This wasn't the first time this had happened. Robin could already break through to level 18 the next day after he killed the 3 giants, but every time he was about to break through, his soul sense would pick up individuals coming towards him and he had to stop and leave. The only thing that helped him escape was actively sensing them coming from long distances. If whoever coming managed to catch Robin by surprise, it would be all over, and he knows that. So far, Robin is still using the minor laws of gravity and his speed is still very limited. But how do they reach him every time? 2 more days later, in a wooded valley. 7 giants wearing black cloaks covering their bodies and heads descended and started looking around. The person standing in front of them took an insect that looked like a beetle out of his pocket, put it on his palm, and began to move it around. But the insect did not show any reaction. That mouse did it again. Damn it! Every time we get closer to him, the smell disappears completely. And when it reappears, it would be a few miles away. How long will this ridiculous game last? The giants standing behind him started grumbling. Instead of doing the things they love, they were caught up in an endless chase that lasted for 5 days without any real rest. You will keep going until we find him. Go. You can rest a bit until the beetle catches his scent again. None of you will go home if we don't bring back that peculiar human with us. Tisk, when we find that little shit. The 7 black cloaks giants began to lie on tree trunks and look for something to eat like every time. But they did not know that this time is not the same time. Robin was just meters away from them this time, hiding in the shade of a tree, his eyes wide open in fright when he heard asterisk, that peculiar human. Asterisk. The black cloaks are here for him, and that's obvious, but they determined that they are actually tracking a human? How? Did that strange insect tell them? How did they get his scent in the first place? A million questions ran through Robin's head, but the answer was not important. What is important now is that these people will not stop chasing him as long as he is alive, and the longer the chase lasts, the greater the number of pursuers and the possibility of catching him. 3 days ago, there were only 4 coming after him, but today they are 7. There is no longer any hope to escape, and it appears that there weren't any from the beginning. He has to first kill them and crushes that beetle, then search for answers to his questions. Robin fully opened his eye of the truth and fixed his gaze upon them, trying to gather as much information as possible about his opponents before the battle began. For at the top of the knighthood realm, another one is a low-level saint, the 6th is a middle-level saint, and their leader, the one who holds the beetle, is a top-level saint. Tisk, his disappearance took so long to this time. Where did that human go? The high-ranking saint moved the beetle left and right, hoping it would pick up something, but it was no use. Maybe he sensed that we easily caught up with him each time and decided to increase the distance between us before he could nullify whatever he is doing. But little did he know that this is useless. Ha ha ha. He will never run away from the emerald-nosed beetle. Another laughed and took a bite of a piece of fruit. Although they are all elite in their field, their positions were completely relaxed. Some of them started preparing firewood to grill something, and some even closed their eyes and fell asleep. It seemed as if they were going on a trip. But this is understandable. For 5 days this happened again and again. Every time they are close, Robin uses darkness, heavenly law perfect technique to hide his scent, and they will have to wait until he gets tired and appear again many miles away. And today doesn't seem any different. Hey, what are you all doing? Our target is dangerous. Stop messing around. The squad leader shouted as he put the beetle in his pocket again. Haha. You overestimate him too much, boss. He is just a peculiar human. How strong can he be? Sooner or later we will.
Asterisk boom asterisk.
A huge explosion ripped through the back of the low-level saint before he could finish speaking and sent him flying into the air, more than 30 meters away from his original spot. At the same time, a few more talismans flew around, 2 talismans of them headed toward the middle-leveled saint. He was still sleeping on a tree trunk with closed eyes. He didn't have the time to even open his eyes after hearing his brother's shout. And just before the 2 talismans landed on him, they both turned into massive fireballs. Finally, the middle-level saint felt the danger after hearing the scream from his brother and felt the extensive heat of fireballs coming at him. Finally, he opened his eyes and was greeted by 2 giant flame balls coming toward him. Without thinking, he punched one of the 2 fireballs with his fist covered with tiny thunderbolts, and instantly that fireball vanished into thin air. But the other one found its target, and the giant's body turned into a living torch. Ah, damn it! As for the rest of the talismans, they all headed towards their top-leveled Saint Chief from different directions. 4 talismans all transformed at the same time, including 2 level 25 fireball talismans and 2 level 25 wind blade talismans. The top-leveled saint furrowed his eyebrows but did not panic. He quickly pulled the war hammer hanging on his back and in an instant was enveloped in thunderbolts and with a whoosh.
Asterisk boom boom.
He circled the war hammer at the 4 attacks, destroying them all before coming near. Just at this moment, the low-leveled saint landed on the ground 30 meters from his original spot. Everything happened at the same instant that the knights couldn't show any reflex other than staring around them, knowing fully that if one of those attacks was coming for them, they would surely be dead. Ah! Get out here. Come out if you dare. After the mid-level saint extinguished the fire on him, he started shouting. The fireball's attack was surprising and extremely powerful. His entire body filled with burns. Especially the front half that had received the full shock was completely charred. But it wasn't enough to take him out, he was still strong enough to fight. As for the low-leveled saint, he was done for. He was still breathing, hardly, but his back was utterly destroyed. The 4 knights went to help the low-leveled saint after his spine had exploded from the intensity of the explosion. They placed him in their midst to protect him, standing ready in a tight and closed circle to fend off any possible attack against their fallen brother. The atmosphere became extremely heavy. Everyone started looking around them in readiness, and even some freight, beautiful and tightly closed defensive circuit, but against someone who uses explosions as a weapon. Do you think I won't blow up the 5 of you just if I wanted, you idiots? Finally, a voice echoes from behind the trees. The top-leveled saint narrowed his eyebrows even more when he heard it. The voice didn't come from a specific direction but seemed as if the forest itself was speaking. The knights started looking at each other out of the corners of their eyes, frightened, and they unconsciously took a few steps forward, widening the circle a little bit. Do you know the consequences of what you just did? Do you know who we are? The middle-ranked saint yelled in anger. Consequences? Let me think, are they going to send elite squad after me to hunt and kill me? Oh wait, this is already happening now. The voice echoed again. Give me one reason why I shouldn't exterminate you all right now. Everyone had fearful and anxious looks in their eyes. Robin could easily hear their racing heart and high breathing. Almost everyone. Their boss didn't react at all. His face is still not visible under the cloak, but his body language and bodily functions are completely stable, and it seems as if he felt some reassurance from Robin's words. Damn it! Robin thought to himself when he saw this and grabbed 3 talismans firmly in his hand. They were the last talismans he had left. That person with a wave of his warhammer destroyed a sudden attack of 4 talismans from the 4 sides. He was definitely not an ordinary top-ranking saint. Whether his strength level, his martial techniques, or the height of his observation, he was undoubtedly the strongest person Robin had to face. It reminds him a little of standing before Duke Donald Everin that day. His goal of launching that intense attack and then speaking intimidating words was to scare that top-leveled saint. Robin hoped that he would promise him to retreat and give him the beetle in exchange for their life, but he didn't seem to be affected at all. You are not going to scare anyone with your words. Show your everything if you want to get rid of us. The top-leveled saint spoke confidently. Robin could even see a slight smile. Chief! The knights quickly looked at him as if they were begging. Even the mid-level saint looked with the side of his eyes to try to understand what his chief wanted to achieve. They were clearly on the weaker side here. Robin's eyes widened when he heard the chief's words. That was the worst and last thing he was prepared to hear. He isn't Theo, he didn't build his pillars with darkness. He can't activate darkness heavenly law for long periods. It was already good that he can use it. If he chose the easy way and runs away now, no matter how far he goes or how much he remains in hiding, he will have to stop darkness heavenly law cultivation technique to rest, and then he will find other pursuers at his ass. He wouldn't see a single good day in this world if he didn't kill that damn beetle with the top-leveled saint. Robin let out a long sigh as if he had given in to his fate. Then he jumped off the tree to stand in front of one of the 4 knights and spoke. You don't deserve another talisman to be wasted on you. I and this fist are enough to kill a bunch of bastards like you. Appearing in front of us now. It was the last mistake you will do in this life. One of the knights spoke in a tone filled with hatred, then broke the defensive formation and charged toward Robin holding his spear with all his might. while the rest remained in their places in anticipation of another attack from the guy who sent those fireballs. Physical strength is everything in this world, and with physical strength as non-existence as this peculiar human, he certainly didn't launch these attacks himself. He has to have a partner or some external methods that he used. This is the best chance to get rid of him before focusing on whoever attacked them just now. But they still have to be careful of what is around them. The peculiar human wouldn't have shown himself like that if he didn't have a plan. Come on! When the knight reached an appropriate distance, he stabbed with all his might toward Robin's head, wanting to kill him and get back to the defensive circle as fast as possible. Seeing the tip of the spear approaching, Robin used the major heavenly law of wind and quickly moved a step to the side, avoiding an attack, and then lunged forward using one of the minor laws of gravity, reverse repulsion. The ground under Robin's feet shattered as he sent himself like an arrow toward his opponent. The knight tried to track Robin's movement to make a counterattack, but he was simply too fast to follow with his eyes, regardless of a counterattack. Puff! The next thing the giant sensed was a blood cannon shooting from his own mouth. When at last he looked down, he found Robin's arm all the way to his was planted in his chest. A blade of wind and energy-strengthened fingers opened the way for Robin's arm all the way to the giant heart. My end has come, on the hands of a damn mouse? The giant knew right away that his heart had been crushed, but seeing his killer who weighed less than the size of his arm simply was more painful and humiliating than death itself. You are dead, but you are still trying to provoke me? Robin's features turned irritated when he heard the word mouse. You have succeeded! Ah! The knight shouted loudly for a second before suddenly falling silent. Robin finally pulled his arm that was blazing with white flames from the giant's chest and allowed his corpse to fall backward, allowing the rest of the giants to see the large charred hole in the center of his chest. Then, taking 2 more steps, he held the giant's spear in an attacking pose and spoke softly, "Who's next? You little..." The mid-leveled saint's anger reached its peak at this point, so he took 2 steps toward Robin but stopped suddenly as if he remembered something, and started looking around in fear and tension, afraid if he gets distracted, another fireball will come to him from somewhere. His courage got burned alongside his face and chest when that fireball hit him. The top-leveled saint still hasn't made a move, but his eyes trembled a little when he saw the state of his subordinate's chest wound. It was clearly burnt with an extremely hot flames. Kill him. Don't care about me, the low-level saint muttered to the 3 knights standing around him. But you! One of them spoke hesitantly. The low-level saint's status was far behind the assessment off, no longer able to fight. He is still alive, but all the skin and flesh on his back is gone. As he is lying flat on his stomach, now they can easily see his entire spine, and can see his muscle tissues moving in his chest due to his weak heartbeat. I told you. Go! Avenge me! The low-level saint dug his nails into the ground and spoke in exasperation.
Asterisk boom asterisk.
3 small white fireballs suddenly shot toward the 3 knights, but the distance was far enough for them to prepare, so they were able to stop them with relative ease. Attack or defend, it doesn't matter. No one's going to get out of here alive anyway, Robin said confidently, showing signs of preparing to attack seriously this time. The 3 made up their minds and nodded at each other. 2 of them drew heavy swords and the other raised his spear and began to cautiously advance toward Robin. Hyaa! The 2 giants wielding their hundreds of kilograms heavy swords shouted and jumped high in the air. Robin narrowed his eyes. If any of those swords indirectly hits him, he's dead for sure. Before the 2 giants reached the ground, Robin disappeared into the shadows under his feet. The destruction caused by the 2 heavy swords was enormous. The ground cracked for tens of meters in all directions, but the 2 giants did not stop there. They jumped again and put a space between each other this time, then fell back to the ground with even more force. Huge cracks began to spread rapidly in all directions, and only 10 meters away from one of the giants, Robin appeared again. But this time he had already lost the calm on his face. There were signs of pain and there were traces of blood running down his mouth. That heavy sword came pretty close to him this time and forced him to reappear, giving him internal injuries. But he did not find time to rest for a second. The moment he reappeared, He saw the tip of a spear huge enough to be a pillar coming at him. The distance between the tip of a spear and his face was less than 2 inches. Once again he activated the law of the wind and the spear passed by his head, cutting a few strands of hair and leaving a deep cut on his right cheek. But quickly regained his focus and looked towards the location of the spear holder's heart, putting all his strength in his foot. He rushed forward again using the minor heavenly law reverse repulsion, ready to cut through the spear holder's chest like he previously did. However, with the minor heavenly law of sound, Robin caught the sound of something piercing the air and descending on his head from the left side. Without thinking, he stopped his plan midway, activated the law of reverse repulsion again, and dashed toward the right at full speed. Boom! A split second after Robin hitting the ground and breaking it with the reverse repulsion, a heavy sword descended where he had previously stood, making a huge pit. But it wasn't over. As Robin rushed into the air to escape, he strengthened the spear with the reverse repulsion minor heavenly law and with the major heavenly law of wind and shot it back to where he previously stood without even aiming. When the heavy sword owner lifted his face up to see where Robin had gone, he found a spear tip coming towards the middle of his forehead, but unfortunately, he didn't have the wind law or reverse repulsion like Robin to dodge. The speed of the spear was faster than the speed of his thought. Before the knight realized what had happened, his brain was fixed to a tree behind him with a huge spear, while his body fell backward to the ground. Brother! The spear-carrying knight shouted as he looked at his headless brother's corpse right in front of him. His knees began to tremble a little when he realized how close death was to him this time. If the spear was to the left by just 1 foot, it would have split the side of his head. Finally, Robin landed a few tens of meters away and started panting heavily, trying to take advantage of the overthinking spear holder and rest a little. But, Haya! The other owner of the heavy sword rushed towards him with full force. His sword stretched out in front of him horizontally in a stabbing position this time. Reverse repulsion. Robin shouted in his head and made a slamming motion with his hand in the air like a hammer, and gravitational waves began to form and descend above the point he wanted, above the tip of the sword. The next thing the heavy sword knight felt was that the weight of his sword had doubled a few times. Within milliseconds, the tip of the sword began to fall down little by little, until boof, it touched the ground and got completely engulfed in it. I have to let go of the sword, the knight thought when he sensed how heavy it was and had already let go of the handle. But it was too late. When the sword began to plunge into the ground, Robin had already begun to lunge at him and managed to grab the giant's neck tightly with his right fist. The knight ignored the pain from squeezing his throat and waved his right fist with all his might toward Robin's belly, intending on breaking him in half. The punch went straight but only managed to find Robin's left arm blocking the way. But the punch had too much power behind it. It broke Robin's left arm and sent him flying toward the right like an arrow. The giant was not satisfied with this and began to move his left fist to greet the flying Robin with another punch to destroy him completely this time. But, a white flame ignited on his neck and quickly spread to his head, in the blink of an eye transforming him into what looked like a giant torch. As for Robin, he fell 20 meters away from the force of the giant's punch, holding his left arm with his right hand, with intense pain appearing on his face. Ah! Robin gasped for air in a loud voice, while his eyes were still roaming around the last spear knight, the angry giant in the middle of the sainthood realm, and finally, the quiet giant at the top of the saint realm who he still couldn't read his thoughts. Killing the 3 knights required more effort and sacrifices than he expected. He wanted to finish them quickly and cleanly as he did with the 3 giants from the caravan, so that he could devote himself to dealing with the saints, but it turned out that they were dreams. Even at his current level as a level 18 knight, he could barely match their immense speed and physical strength using his energy without leaving reserves, and he has already used most of his fighting techniques and strategies. If he had tried to save some energy or some skills for later, he would have died a few times already. And above all that, his left arm has now become useless with it broken even after he had pumped most of his remaining energy there to protect it. His reserve of energy in general has almost completely depleted. Using his absolute energy absorption techniques, he could replenish his energy reserves in minutes if he entered a meditation mode, but who would give him those minutes in a situation like this? You, You deserve to be cut into 1,000,000 pieces. Finally, the spear knight came out of his shock at the sight of his friend's head melting and began to move toward Robin slowly, rotating his spear over his head with extreme speed. The wind coming from it started to shake the branches of trees around them. Ah! 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 Robin continued looking at the incoming knight with half-closed eyes and profuse sweat. Evidently, the knight was preparing for some sort of final attack. Then he slowly stood up, let go of his left hand, and raised his right hand on which white flames began to burn silently, and shouted, "Come! I will send you after your brothers. Hiya!" Finally, the knight let out a loud shout, then lunged forward towards Robin at extreme speed. Shit! Robin thought. The knight's rush was so fast that even if he used the reverse repulsion minor heavenly law, he wouldn't be able to slow down that spear in time. He used all his remaining energy and activated the reverse repulsion minor heavenly law on his own right waist and used the wind law there as well, managing to dodge the spear tip by an inch, but giving himself a broken rib in the process. It's time to end this. When he thought the worst was over, Robin heard this shout as he was still in midair. When he moved his pupils to see where it came from, he felt the hair of his entire body stand up in fright. He saw the mid-level saint in a punching pose a few meters away from him. "I'm dead," Robin thought as the image of the mid-level saint reflected in his pupil and was getting bigger quickly. Less than a meter remains between them. Less than a meter remains until certain death. He no longer had any energy to dodge. Even if he had any energy, he wouldn't have been able to dodge this attack while still hanging in midair. He started to close his eyes. It's all over. But at this moment, Robin's pupils reflected something else on them. A crimson-colored creature darting from the side like an arrow toward the mid-level saint. Ah! Robin finally fell to the ground safely and quickly stood up looking to his right at the source of the scream, and found the back of the demon. He was naturally standing still, but there was a giant lying horizontally above his head. A mid-level saint. The demon's 2 spiral horns pierced through the middle-level saint's heart and stomach and went all the way through his back. Grip seeing this, the top-leveled saint clenched his fist on the war hammer like he was about to squeeze it, and his eyes were opened on both ends, but he still didn't move. The demon casually threw away the mid-level saint's corpse from above his head as if it were a piece of trash, and began walking toward the spear-carrying knight.
Des démons.
Why is a demon helping a human? What is going on here? Chief, help me please, IH. The spear knight didn't finish, as the demon suddenly charged forward and grabbed his neck without much resistance. With one bite, the demon gnawed a large piece of his neck, then threw his corpse aside. Ah! 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 Robin quickly caught his breath as he kneeled with both knees and hands on the ground. He hadn't eaten anything good in days and not a single drop of natural energy remained in his body. The fact that he was still awake in itself is telling about his sharp mental strength. With whatever strength left in his tired body, he left his head and looked with half-open eyes at the demon and sent out using the thought-conveying technique. "You, what are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to go home?" In fact, this wasn't the first time he had come into contact with the demon since the escape that day. But what just happened was definitely not planned. Robin gave him orders that day to leave and go wherever he wanted, but he still followed him for a whole day after that. Robin spotted him twice and shouted at him to leave and return to his family, and indeed the demon disappeared after the second encounter. But thinking about it, the first time he spotted him, he was 70 meters away from him, and the next time there were 180 meters between them. It is now clear that he kept retreating until he moved away from Robin's soul sense range and kept this distance between them until today. How is this a stupid race? That dedication and excellent implementation are fascinating. Robin thought to himself. The demon tilted his head down when Robin's message reached him, then turned around and walked back towards Robin. On the way, he stepped on the head of the low-level saint, leveling it with the ground, and then continued until he reached Robin and stood beside him in a ready-to-fight position. Ha! Ha! Hoo! Robin finally managed to calm his heartbeat and rapid breathing, and then with great difficulty he managed to get back on his feet, looking at the top-leveled saint. Robin's attention didn't leave that person from start to finish. He didn't move a single step, and he didn't seem to be preparing for any surprise attack like the mid-level saint did. Nor did he appear to be standing there to defend himself either. His mates were killed in front of him in the ugliest of ways, but he didn't seem to care. He just watched every move, big or small, silently as if he was thinking of something. Robin didn't know what that person was thinking. But he is an enemy and someone must die now. Or at least he has to kill that insect with him, otherwise, he will be a dead man himself even if he managed to escape now somehow. He only remained in this strange world for less than a month. But he had already put one leg on the threshold of death several times. And this might be the end of the journey before it even began. Robin finally reached into his pocket and took out a level 25 fireball talisman, then desperately shouted, "There is nothing else to watch, no one else to die for your amusement. There is only the two of us. Come on." The giant lifted his war hammer off the ground and placed it on his shoulder, then spoke in a calm tone. "You are too quick to fight. How many blows of this hammer can you handle before I turn you and that red doll of yours into mashed potatoes? Are you in a hurry to try it?" "Well, I'm in no hurry myself. What do you think of a quick little chat? Do you have something you want to ask me about?" "Ha!" Robin was extremely surprised by the giant's words and calmness, but he did not want to miss that opportunity. So he activated the Absolute Stone Energy Cultivation Technique, and as the energy began to flow to his feet profusely, he looked at the giant and asked, "Who are you exactly?" The giant smiled as he sensed the energy flowing from the ground to Robin's feet, but he ignored the matter and replied, "We are the internal peacekeepers force of the Lightning Tribe. You could say we are special forces whose mission is to search for and eliminate the major dangers to our way of life inside our borders." "Special forces? What did I do for you to chase after me?" Robin asked in astonishment. If these forces are of the same stature as the Fire Legion back home, they are certainly not free to the point of taking the case of the murder of members of a circus. Unfortunately for you, one of those whom you killed was a former member of the internal peacekeeping force. He resigned due to several internal injuries and freed himself to move around in that little circus of his. Naturally, we have to avenge the death of our colleague, and the task became more important after you killed 4 more of our men. The giant replied softly. His answer made Robin furrow his eyebrows. "Why are you so sure it was me? And how did that insect catch my scent?" "Oh, you saw the beetle too? For how long have you been around us?" But that would make it easier to explain. These bugs can pick up a single scent and trace its source as long as the source is less than 100 miles away. Several bugs were released where you killed our 4 peacekeepers and the 3 circus workers, and we tracked down the owners of every scent that was there that day and fled. Later on, we found out that they belonged to the prisoners of the circus. But there was something strange. Whenever we caught one of the fleeing prisoners, he would kill himself when we started interrogating him and asking him who the attacker was. It seemed like they were terrified of something and that suicide was better for them than talking. This continued until we caught one of them and he muttered these words in a trembling voice: *Fishbones. That damn peculiar human. He is terrifying. Then he acted like the rest of his mates and committed suicide. And here we are. I have been asked to join the team searching for you and make sure to take your head, Mr. Peculiar Human Fishbones. You have been placed at the top of the wanted list, and the peacekeepers' targets always die without exception. I don't like that term. The expression of anger appeared on Robin when he heard the term Fishbones again, and he inserted the energy that he managed to draw during these minutes into the talisman in his hand, and it became ready to launch at any second. The demon next to him also opened his mouth and began to growl, ready to rush forward as well. Hold on, hold on. The giant raised his left hand and beckoned to Robin to calm down. This isn't fair. You asked me and I answered honestly. Should I not have a few questions too? Robin was surprised by his words, but replied, Ask. Every second increase in this conversation gives him more opportunity to regain his strength and think of strategies. You are not from this world, who are you? Asked the giant directly. Who are you? You are not of this world. The giant asked directly. Ha! Robin is stunned by the question. You. Why would you ask about something like that? The giant moved his war hammer and pointed it at Robin. Who does not know the peacekeepers and our unique clothing? Who does not know our emerald nose beetle and how they work? Those explosions and strange wind blades with which you attacked us before are far overpowered compared to your actual strength which you have just shown. Was it a weapon? Is it that piece of beast hide in your hand? I have never heard of anything similar in my life. Secondly, your bones and flesh are not suitable for the gravity of our world. You should be dead or at least paralyzed, but here you are killing my warriors left and right. I feel a faint aura around you always activated, reflecting the effect of gravity on you to some extent. Is this how you can walk? I couldn't feel any divine tattoo being activated on your body when you used those fire and gravity attacks. You don't have any, don't you? And that energy that enters your body through your feet. No one in this world keeps energy inside their body. And there are quite a few evidences other than those. You are definitely not of this world. Robin's pupils suddenly narrowed as if they were about to disappear. He felt like he had been hit on the head with a hammer. Then the giant continued, returning the war hammer to rest it on his shoulder. And damn, you even have a demon protecting you. If the demon does this on its own, it means that he saw in you what no one else saw, and if you coordinated these attacks with him, this means that you own a way to communicate with him, which is even scarier. Even this didn't escape you? Robin took a step back without realizing it. For the first time since the fight started, all of his senses called on him to run. The tiny bit of confidence his plan had given him started to scatter. This person was not just a powerful enemy. What do you know about other worlds? Robin asked hesitantly while his eyes started running all around him, trying to find the best way to escape from here with his injuries. But he quickly regretted his question when the answer escaped his mouth. The giant smiled when he saw that Robin did not deny his accusation. I didn't know that there was a world other than ours, but you are living proof of its existence. Where is that world? Is it above the sky? Under the earth? Robin fell silent and took 2 more steps back. His half-closed eyes were fixed to the east as if he had chosen his escape path. Wait! The giant took a step forward and extended his left hand to stop Robin when he saw this. Just talk to me a little. What's wrong with that? Do you think I'm trying to waste time or interrogate you? This piece of beast hide and that demon won't protect you from me if I decide to attack now. Will you calm down a little? Robin returned and looked at the giant. How can I trust you? Much was at stake. Special forces are chasing him with all their might just because he killed their retired associate, so how will they chase him if they know he's an alien? The mission he came for will be impossible before it even begins. You, sigh. The giant shook his head when he saw this then. Bah! The giant lowered his war hammer to the ground. It was so heavy that it made a hole under the mere touch. Then he took off the cloak that covered his head and opened his arms at the end of them. Can we talk man to man now? Robin furrowed his eyebrows when he saw his features. His head is bald from the side, but in the middle of it is long braided hair that reaches his back. His features look as if he were sculpted with perfect craftsmanship, giving him handsome and fierceness at the same time. This guy, without a doubt, the most handsome giant that Robin has ever seen, and the youngest of them all? Robin easily determined his age is not over 40 years. You are so young. Robin was stunned to see him. This sharp intelligence and level of cultivation strength are simply shocking, and when you combine them with such young age, this person is definitely an absolute genius around. If not, then this planet is terrifying. You look 10 years younger than me yourself. The giant chuckled. Appearances are sometimes deceiving. Robin smiled and took another step back. The giant moved 2 steps forward. Hy, listen here. I am trying to communicate with you in good faith and as respectfully as I can. Don't take another step back before our conversation ends, or else I will have to arrest you first and then we will speak. Robin returned to fixing his gaze on the giant. You know, I have spent my whole life working so hard to achieve one thing, not to hear the term or else, and there would be no exception to that today. Then he turned and leaped towards the east with all his might. Wait, damn it! When the giant realized that screaming was no longer useful, he put his strength to his feet and rushed after Robin. But after he took a few big steps, he spotted Robin looking back, and there was a strange smile in his eyes.
Asterisk boom asterisk.
The ground under the giant's feet suddenly exploded. The giant was sent several meters up in the air, but his body was still one piece. The horrible pain in the giant's right foot that the blast focused on made him cry out in pain, but he didn't have time to think about it. A crimson-colored shadow appeared beside him in midair, and like an arrow, he penetrated the giant's right side with his tall spiral horns, and they both rushed toward a nearby giant tree. One of the two horns stabbed right at the pocket where the giant was keeping his emerald nose beetle. "Get away from me!" After they both fell to the ground again, the giant grabbed the demon's head and pulled his horns out of his body. Then with a BAA he gave him a powerful punch in the face, sending it flying, smashing several trees on its way. Then the giant stood up again and started looking around like a lunatic trying to find a trace of Robin, ignoring his burnt feet and stabbed side. Damn! When the giant found no trace of Robin, when he knew that his emerald nose beetle was dead, he looked up at the sky and roared at the top of his lungs. Eh! The giant's roar was interrupted by a slap at the back of his head. The last thing he remembered after that was hearing a boom sound. Then he closed his eyes and fell on his face. Sounds of pain escaped from the giant's mouth, while his eyes started to open, and he unconsciously raised his hand to place it on the place he felt the most pain from, the back of his neck. "If I were you, I wouldn't do this." A voice sounded beside the giant suddenly. The giant stopped his hand in the middle of the way and looked at the source. It was Robin. Then he continued to speak as he grilled what looked like a deer. "I attached a wind blade talisman on the back of your neck. With nothing but a thought I can activate it. I know your body is strong, but the blade will cut at least an inch or two before it stops. Damaging the spinal cord means death for any living creature no matter how powerful he is, so please, for your own good, put your hand down and leave the talisman alone." The giant lowered his hand and started laughing. "Ha ha ha! Cough, cough? That was unnecessary. Just a precaution. Your body strength exceeded my expectations by far." The giant was silent for a moment and then spoke. "How long have I been unconscious?" Robin looked at him by the side of his eye. "You have been unconscious for about 7 hours. You received the full power of a level 25 fire explosion talisman right on the back of your neck. But all it did was give you a good night's sleep. So those strange beast hides are called talismans? Anyway, sorry to disappoint your expectations, ha ha ha. I just received the 3rd stage of the body-strengthening divine tattoo. You will need more than this if you want to kill me." Cough! The giant laughed and replied when he heard Robin, but started spitting blood again, then wiped the blood with his hand and continued, "So, why am I still alive? You could easily have killed me while I was unconscious." Robin continued to quietly flip the deer over the fire for a few more seconds before speaking. "First tell me why you didn't attack me with the intention of killing? If you had not acted so unfirmly from the start, my plan would have most likely failed, especially with your overpowered body strength. Even the demon after it stabbed you, you only punched him to keep him away and you didn't kill him, although it was the most reasonable and easiest decision for you. I thought a lot about this but couldn't find an answer." The giant followed Robin's gaze till he saw the crimson, spiral-horned creature. His face was bogged slightly inward because of the punch, but he was standing on a tree without a problem, with his head turned toward the giant, seemingly ready to attack at any moment. "I told you from the start that I just wanted to talk, so how can I kill you? And if I killed your subordinate, it wouldn't be a good gesture, would it? But it looks like you are not ready to trust anyone. I understand that." The giant went back and rested his head on the tree behind him again and looked up at the sky. With a wave of his hand, Robin lowered the fire and then took the back thigh of the deer and threw it toward the giant and spoke. "We can talk now." The giant picked up the roasted thigh and looked at Robin in astonishment. "Really? That simple? Then what the hell was that all about? I told you I don't like the term or else. I love my freedom of choice and I have struggled in my life to keep it that way. I wouldn't make my own choice when you were standing there grasping your hammer, right?" Robin took a bite out of a piece of meat and then continued with his mouth full of food. "Now that you can't move and I can kill you at any moment, we can understand each other better." The giant chuckled for a moment and shook his head. then looked at Robin seriously. You have a weird way of thinking, but I can understand that. So, who are you? First tell me your impression. You said I'm from another world. Why do you think that? There are so many races in this world, so many giants have seen me, including the head of the caravan who is an old peacekeeper like you. But he didn't think anything like that for a moment. Why are you any different? Robin said with narrowed eyebrows. The giant looked down a little and then spoke. I don't know. Maybe my imagination went too far. Maybe if I only saw your figure I would have thought you were a new race too, as everyone thought, but in your fight a while ago you used gravity, fire, wind, and darkness. You have a strange way to store energy inside your body, and you also have those strange talismans things that make you use power far above your league. If you are not someone who came from another world, then you are definitely the third heavens chosen that this world sees. What is the probability that the first person of his kind is also a heavens chosen? The possibility is very, very weak. The only logical explanation I came across is that you are the heavens chosen from another world, and you came to us for a reason. Robin furrowed an eyebrow and stopped eating for a moment. What exactly is a heavens chosen? And there were two of them? I have heard that term before. Ha ha ha. The fact that you do not know what the heavens chosen confirms that you came from another world, my friend. Who didn't hear about those two and know their superiority? They are the embodiments of greatness itself. They are the ones who created the way of life on the planet. Yes, what are their specifications? Why do you think I'm their third? Tell me more about them, Robin cut it. Specifications? They are like you. The giant raised his shoulders. Robin furrowed his eyebrows. What is a heavens chosen? Someone who uses more than one path. But that's normal, any genius should be able to do this. More than half an hour had passed since the young giant's last sentence, and no one had opened his mouth after that. Robin was busy flipping the wood in front of him and took a bite of meat every now and then, thinking about what those heavens chosen are, and what to do with this giant next to him. This was no ordinary giant. He was a top-level saint. That's more or less the strength needed to be a duke in his home. What I'm doing, thought Robin as he still kept himself busy with the campfire in front of him. As for the demon, he didn't get his face off the young giant. But he was also busy himself. Every now and then he would take a bit from a corpse under his feet. It was the mid-level saint. And looking at the view behind him, it shows clearly that this wasn't his first feast today. His body wounds from his fight against the head of the caravan have almost disappeared after eating the peacekeepers. His rate of healing after he started eating them stupefied Robin. He even could sense his aura become stronger. After he finished eating the mid-level saint and digesting him, it wouldn't be a surprise if he leaped to have a high-level saint strength. While the young giant was busy with his body pain, although he did not suffer any fractures or major injuries, except for his charred leg and neck, which suffered multiple high-degree burns and a few lacerations in the muscles and ligaments from the severity of the two explosions, and the two holes on his side due to the demon's horns, but they didn't cause serious damage inside. At this moment Robin broke the silence. Just now you mentioned something about the third stage body strengthening divine tattoo. Can you explain to me more? The young giant pretended that this question was not about a piece of general information known to everyone, and that it indicates more that Robin is indeed an alien, and just replied, the body strengthening tattoos continuously draw the surrounding energy and pump it into the body of its owner, strengthening his bones and flesh and even skin. It is the basis of the power in this world, and everything else in the power system revolves around it. But it needs to be constantly updated. A first-stage body-strengthening divine tattoo can be given to a child after he begins to learn to speak, if he was fortunate enough to be born into a wealthy family. It draws relatively small amounts of energy, which have no side effects or requirements, and that energy will slowly increase the strength of the body until it finally reaches the strength level of the 4 warriors who were in my team and whom you killed. But after reaching this power, the divine tattoo will be useless and won't be able to strengthen the user's body anymore. It can be used to treat flesh wounds faster in the best cases. When you reach that point, you can update the tattoo to get the second stage of it. Then you will eventually get a strength equal to mine or a little less. Then the tattoo will be useless except for healing, and the same goes for the higher stages as well. This Only now did he remember the words of the all-seeing God about the giants, that they do not need to absorb energy. Is all they need to do is apply the tattoo and let it do its work? Can this be called training anymore? Where are the fatigue, toil, and perseverance in the matter? Where is the role of strong feelings and oaths on revenge and blah blah blah? Wait, you were saying that you got the third stage from a tattoo. Robin opened his eyes to the last of them when he mentioned this. If the first stage is awarded until the completion of the knighthood realm and the second stage is equal to the sainthood realm, then the third degree is a sage. True, but I got it less than a month ago and it hasn't seen much results yet. The young giant nodded with a proud smile. A young man your age has attained this kind of strength. What a strange energy system. Robin shook his head in self-frustration. The giant doesn't look over 40, but has already set his foot in the sagehood realm. What do you mean by this? Do you think everyone can reach my power at my age? Ha ha ha! The giant laughed out loud. Didn't you see my followers just now? They are all several times my age. We may have the same access to energy and the same divine tattoos, but the inborn talent differs from one person to another in how to benefit from that energy after it enters the body. For example, if my body and the body of a normal person had the same amount of energy through the same tattoo, I will benefit within 1 year which the average person can benefit from in tens of years. I'm an absolute inborn genius in this matter. Also, the bodies of some people sometimes refuse to upgrade the tattoos because they have reached their maximum potential. If a tattoo was applied forcibly on that kind of body, then the body will wear out and die after a short time. The extent of the body's response to change using energy is the most important factor in the matter. Your interpretation didn't change my mind much. How fast the training system here depends on your birth. If you were born with a body that can't use the energy that enters it optimally, no strong determination would help you, and the sleepless cultivation nights would only make you more sleepy. Robin gave a sarcastic laugh. This is very boring. I will not argue with you on this. The young giant surrendered. This was really out of their control. You get the tattoo and let it do its work, that's it. How available are those tattoos? Can anyone get them? Robin asked again. More or less. The first 3 stages of the body-strengthening divine tattoos are available to all the tribes of giants, and there are institutions specialized in drawing them within the lands of each tribe. All giants can get the tattoos for the right price. There are many expensive resources that you need to make the ink needed for the divine tattoos, and the divine tattoos artists have a very high position in society, and to take part of their time needs a lot of money as well. The higher the divine tattoo level, the more precious ink you will need and the more talented divine tattoo artist you will need, which will also mean a much higher price. So yes, you can get it anytime, any place, but you need enough money to do so first. Wonderful. So the talent you are born with comes first, and then how rich you are. If you have both, you can get tattoos and go play or do whatever you want while your strength grows on its own. If not, you are doomed to stay a poor weakling forever. What a wonderful energy system. Robin chuckled sarcastically. I won't argue with you on that either. Robin appeared sarcastic and started poking holes in the Nahari power system. But what was going on in his mind was entirely different. Which motherfucker has invented the system of internal energy foundations and heavenly law pillars? Why is it so hard for us while others live happily with no worries? Robin cursed in his head. Actually, there was no one that invented the foundations and pillars internal power system. It was developed over the thousands of years by multiple geniuses until it reached its current form, and none of them can say that he is the true creator of this system. Also, most of Robin's rage was not towards the ones who invented this internal power system, but towards himself because he stuck himself in this box and refused to think outside it. He thought in every way about how to develop it, but did not try to think of other possibilities. But in the end, he sighed and shook his head. Maybe that's for the best. First of all, cultivation shouldn't be this easy, will-free, and expensive process. This was the rich families will just stay powerful forever with no other possibilities. The internal power system gives more options. Robin was already the top talent in his duchy, while spending 20 gold coins a month. Or Billy, with extremely poor inborn talent, managed to flip it over with his pure determination and hard work to become one of the youngest saints. The second and most important, the giant's cultivation system requires absorbing huge and constant amounts of energy all the time from the atmosphere, and given the time it takes to cultivate the body strength on this energy-filled planet, perhaps the genius standing before him would not have reached this level of strength even after 300 years if he had trained in the same way on a nascent planet. Can't a person receive a third-stage tattoo directly without going through the first and second stages before it? Robin asked again, trying to understand the situation more. Of course not. Each higher stage of tattoo attracts more energy to enter the body and strengthen it. How can one skip levels like that? Regardless of the third-stage tattoo given since birth, if it is given to someone who has not reached the maximum power of the second stage yet, there is a high probability that his body will become maimed or even die. The giant shook his head with a strange look. This was the first time he had to explain the power system in the world to anyone. Are there certain terms for users of different levels of tattoos? Robin asked. Levels 110 called foundation energy mostly doesn't exist here. He has never seen any adult giants below level 10. Even the weaker humans can reach this strength. Probably the gravity and energy density of this world made the initial strength of all beings in it at level 10. As for those with the first stage of body-strengthening divine tattoos, they are the so-called knights in his previous world, levels from 1120. But it would be strange if he continued to use the terms knight and saint here. Terms? Aha, I got it. Those who have the first stage body-strengthening divine tattoo are called warriors. Those with the second stage of the body-strengthening divine tattoo are called shamans. As for those who got the third stage of the body-strengthening divine tattoo are called dragons, because of their incredible physical strength. Giant spoke. Shaman? Like a wizard. This is a strange name for individuals who rely on the strength of their bodies. Robin was surprised by the name, but inside his head, he began to memorize the names. Knight equals warrior, saint equals shaman, sage equals dragon. The giant raised his hand and the lightning started moving above it like white snakes. Then he spoke. This is one of the many lightning-attacking divine tattoos our tribe has. If you want to get one on your body, you first have to surpass the strength level of a warrior and accept the second stage of body-strengthening divine tattoo. I think you can imagine the reason for the name now. Robin got a little closer and focused completely on the giant's arm with two pale green glowing eyes. Seeing him act like this, the giant kept the lightning on his arm and let him watch as he wished. The energy that activates this minor heavenly law, it comes from around you, not from within your body. Robin was amazed when he noticed the energy in the air around them steadily entering the giant's arm and then transforming into these small thunderbolts. Minor heavenly law? I don't know what this is, but right, the energy that enters our bodies is coming from the body-strengthening divine tattoo, and it is only meant to strengthen the body. The young giant furrowed his eyebrow and spoke. Robin was fascinated by what he saw. No wonder these tattoos need a strong body before they can be installed. They pull the surrounding energy and force it temporarily into the body and then immediately let it out in the form of the law for which the tattoo was designed. Whether it's body-strengthening divine tattoos or this lightning-attacking divine tattoo, they are definitely two types of runes that were designed to operate on the bodies of living things directly, one that Robin hadn't thought of before. And while Robin observes the lightning bolt, he notices that it damages the giant's body as well. And soon the reason was known. The bodies of the internal energy system users, such as Caesar, witness a change in the nature of their bodies when building the pillars so that their bodies align with the form of the energy that comes out of them. So users of lightning or fire, for example, do not suffer harm when using their powers. But the system of giants is based on endurance. The body itself becomes stronger but does not undergo any transformation, and therefore they only bear the damage caused by using the minor heavenly laws every time they activate this kind of attacking divine tattoos. Although it is not severe damage and the body-strengthening divine tattoo heals it on its own, it is definitely still painful. This must be the main reason why warriors are unable to use these attacking divine tattoos as well. Their bodies will be destroyed in the long term if they try. Robin saw the head of the circus caravan use these little thunderbolts in the fight against the demon, but they were definitely weaker than this. It seems that after entering a shaman's power level, the higher the body's strength, the more energy the tattoo would automatically attract. This will make the output of the attacking power much higher, but also the pain and damage will be much higher. At least this is another point in favor of the internal energy system. Robin stared at the tattoo, transforming energy into lightning bolts for about a minute, before noticing that the energy entering the giant's arm was starting to change. After entering from the surrounding air, it began to emerge from the giant's chest and towards his arm. Seeing that Robin's eyes rested on his chest, he chuckled, "Ha ha! What an eye! What an eye! Excuse me, I couldn't bear to draw energy from the air anymore, so I started pulling it from the energy pearls. It's more comfortable to use for the long term." Then the giant slowly raised his hand so that Robin wouldn't suspect that he wanted to attack him, and he opened the belt on his chest, showing dozens of shiny gemstones, big in size but not too much. Robin could hold one of them comfortably in his fist, perfectly spherical, emitting a really faint blue luster, but it was gorgeous. They did appear like pearls. Robin reached out his hand and grabbed one of them and began to carefully examine it. "Oh my God!" The young giant just smiled and watched Robin flipping the pearl like a toddler that found a new interesting toy. As for Robin, his head was already about to blow. There is an astonishing amount of energy inside this energy pearl. To put it in comparison, he needed 15 million gold coins worth of energy stones in order to get here, a huge sum that he needed the royal family to collect for him. But this pearl alone has enough energy to power the space gate and send him back to his planet. The all-seeing God spoke of a type of energy stone on this planet that is sufficient to turn the tide of his war against his opponent. He said that if his opponent was able to have access to them and obtain these stones, he would be done for. If the opponent of the all-seeing God wanted something from this planet, it would definitely be these energy pearls. "Where did you get these 10 pearls from? Are there many of them around?" Robin spoke seriously. "Calm down. It is nothing rare. These energy pearls can be obtained from the depths of the Energy Stones mountains, or you may find them if you go down deep enough into the seas, or even inside active volcanoes. The energy pearls in general need a place full of natural energy, and it takes a very long time to form. But they are available everywhere in numbers that don't make them rare. You can exchange for one of these with 1 purple banknote." The giant signaled Robin to calm down and spoke. The giant spoke softly as if it was nothing. But this didn't say much about Robin's view. In that auction, he was almost sold for 7 purple banknotes and maybe even more. If 1 pearl had enough energy that could send him to his planet, then each one of those purple banknotes would be worth at least 15 million gold coins. That's at least 105 million gold coins. You can buy an earldom with that much money. They wanted to buy him at that price. Only to eat him? Well, at least those giants know his worth. Humph. Tell me more about your currency system. What are those papers, and are they used? Robin returned to sit in front of the fire and asked. He couldn't find the mechanism behind the lightning attacking divine tattoo. Whoever made it has deeply concealed how it works. He can crack its code, but that will take a long time, and that body-strengthening divine tattoo will most likely require even more time. How do I explain this? In the past, our main currency was energy stones, but carrying quantities of them around was not practical and was tempting the bandits, so we established an entity called the Central Bank. The bank is a separate entity from the ruling administration and is considered public property for all members of the tribe, in which energy stones and pearls are stored. For example, whoever gives bank employees a kilogram of energy stones will take a black banknote in return. That person can give that black banknote to another person to buy something from him, and so on. This makes carrying around a lot of money possible and also quite simple in actual transactions because currency exchange rates are always fixed. A black banknote is equal to 1 kilogram of energy stones. An orange banknote is equal to 100 kilograms worth of energy stones. A red banknote is equal to 1,000 kilograms worth of energy stones. There is also the purple banknote, which is equal to 1 energy pearl. And finally, the gold banknote, which is equal to 100 energy pearls. Robin opened his eyes in amazement. This monetary system was really much better than what he was used to. Instead of carrying a ton of gold on a carriage and traveling miles with it, he would only carry 1 red banknote in his pocket instead. "Thank you. You have broadened my understanding of many things." Robin spoke up and looked in front of him again. The giant giggled. "It's okay, Mr. Alien. Every 2-year-old kid knows these things. If you ask any beggar on the streets, he would have told you the same information. Not like I'm telling you secrets. Robin returned to looking at the fire in front of him for more than a quarter of an hour with a serious look on his face. It was clear that he was thinking of something. Although the young giant seems sincere in his words, he is still a senior officer in specialized forces to hunt down his ilk. It is a very big risk for him to trust him. Secondly, he does not know what he wants from getting close to him in the first place. Finally, he looked at him seriously and spoke. Then, why did you want us to talk? What would you do if I were the third heavens chosen from this world? And what would you do if I were an alien from another world? The young giant fell silent for a few seconds, then looked in Robin's eyes firmly. I will follow you either way. Huh? Ha ha ha. It seems that the explosion on your head was worse than I thought. Robin grabbed his stomach and laughed out loud. What is so funny about it? The giant furrowed an eyebrow, looking extremely annoyed. Ha ha. Ha. Robin took a big bite from the meat in front of him and then continued. Nice try, Special Forces expert, but I don't need a spy by my side. Try something else. Is this a joke? He previously said that his mission is to track and destroy potential threats to internal security. What could be a greater threat than an alien from another world that looks like a mere human? The young giant remained silent for a few minutes. The Lightning Tribe has fallen into a period of decay and weakness in the last few hundred years. The current tribe leader is trying to deal peacefully and passively with our neighbors as much as possible. Only 10 years ago the Water Tribe entered our lands, took one of our drinkable water sources, and all the surrounding areas, and what did we do to respond? Nothing. Nothing. Robin seriously looked at the young giant as he spoke agitated and did not interrupt him. Then he continued, to tell you the truth, I was extremely angry with our tribe leader at the time. I wanted to do something, anything, except that there was nothing I could do on my own. And because we were following the peace plan with our neighbors now, I had no choice but to join the peacekeepers if I want to have some good fights. So I tracked down many terrorist organizations founded by other races to harass the Nahari giants. I killed hundreds of them and dismantled dozens of terrorist organizations in less than 10 years until I earned my place as the youngest deputy commander-in-chief of the peacekeeping forces in history and the fastest to ascend to this position too. But to be honest, even this is getting boring. My strength and talent should be put to use in anything useful. Hunting the terrorists was fun at the beginning, thinking that I was benefiting my race and keeping the streets safe. But I no longer have any passion to do this shit anymore. It's killing me inside. The young giant looked at Robin and then continued with a smile. I don't know if you're an alien or a new race. Either way, you are a chosen one of heaven. Either way, I'm sure staying with you will bring me closer to the life I have always been yearning for. Robin laughed sarcastically. I don't know if people who want to defend their families can be called terrorist groups, but never mind. You may continue. Tisk, forget about it. Looks like there is no need to talk anymore. The young giant shook his head and looked forward. From all his words, Robin found only this point and comment on it. Clearly, he wasn't interested in anything he says. Hee hee. Robin chuckled, then turned to look at the demon who had come to sit in front of him and stated, devouring the guts of the deer after he finished with the mid-level saint corpse. After a few minutes of dreadful silence, Robin finally spoke. You know that either way, I'd be a danger to your own kind, right? We are all flesh and blood. Does outward appearance matter so much? I don't care much about your race. If you were a rat beast, you would still deserve my respect as long as you are strong. And you who managed to bring me down, even though you are much weaker than me physically, you certainly deserve my respect. As long as you are a heaven's chosen, I would gladly follow you. I don't care much about your agenda, and who knows, maybe being by your side will make the heavens chosen of this era not hate the giants so much. The young giant spoke as he moved the bone in his hand left and right. Then he continued. Reports say you blew up the human girls who helped you escape before they entered the intelligent race's restaurant, though you could have been exposed there and arrested. Then you freed the prisoners in the woods, though there was a risk that they would expose your identity. I don't know what you did to make them feel so terrified that they killed themselves, but one of them did give up your identity before he committed suicide as well. A man of your intelligence wouldn't make a slip like this. You must have known that something like this might happen, yet you let them go. Tisk, Robin looked at the ground. An annoyed expression surfaced on his face. The giant turned his head and looked at Robin seriously. My analysis of both situations is that you are a very decisive person, but you strive to provide the best possible option for the innocents, even if it is at the cost of risking your life. You are a good person. Ha 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 ha, good person? What a joke. Do you know how many people have died because of me? Robin laughed out loud. Perhaps he did not kill many with his own hands, but his conquests in the kingdoms of Dolliver and the kingdom of Lying Waters, and the supply of weapons and talismans to other duchies to aid them in their conquests as well, were all on his direct orders. He directly or indirectly caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands or perhaps millions of people. I said you were good. I didn't say you were kind-hearted. The giant shook his head. The fact that you blew up the girls who helped you says a lot about how willing you are to kill, but at least you did it to prevent them from greater torment. You are the kind of person who does everything for the greater good even if it makes you the villain in some stories, aren't you? If you were really an alien who came from another world, I refuse to believe that you came to harm us. You are here to do something good, but it will probably be at the cost of many people's lives too. And I want to be a part of this. Robin opened his eyes to the last of them as he looked at the fire when he heard this explanation, then returned to look at the young giant. For a long time, he could not take his eyes off him. Every word he said was 100% correct. This young man is not only a genius in cultivation and martial arts, but has a sharp intelligence. Extremely sharp. It is also clear that he is trying to find his place in this world, trying to use his talent and intelligence in something he believes in. Herr Robin gave a long sigh. This giant reminds him of someone, himself. At last, he began to speak again non-stop. You want to stay by my side? It is possible. But you must understand that I am the boss in this relationship. You must follow all my commands. You must call me Your Excellency or Your Highness when you see me, and before anything else, you must now kneel down to me and prostrate yourself 3 times to complete the ritual of subordination. The young giant kept quiet for a few seconds, then spoke. First of all, I understand that you are the leader since I am the one who wants to follow you. It is natural that you call the shots. Second of all, I will follow your orders as long as you do not directly harm the Nahari Giants race as a whole, and your orders are in line with my personal goal. If you ordered something that goes against the reason why I'm following you, well, there would be no point anymore, would it? As for titles, I will call you by your name or maybe *boss* if you insist. But forget to call you something higher than that until you deserve it. At this point, the young giant raised an eyebrow and then continued. As for kneeling and prostrating, have you gone mad? Do you know who I am? This was not a request. If you don't do what I tell you, I will activate the talisman and kill you now. Robin stood up and again approached the giant with a few steps, apparently preparing to do something. Then do it, you arrogant bastard. You are the one who will lose my services. The young giant threw the bone in his hand toward Robin, who dodged it, then continued his shouting. Kneel and prostrate, you say? No one deserves my kneeling. Not you, not the first chosen of heaven, not even the heaven itself. Robin furrowed his eyebrows upon hearing this, extended his hand, and then lowered it. Seeing this movement, the young giant closed his eyes, ready to feel pain or perhaps death, but suddenly he felt comforting energy enter through his leg. When he opened his eyes again, he found Robin's hand on his leg and green energy coming out of it, and he heard Robin speak. Congratulations. You proved that what you said a little while ago was not for fear of death, but rather your own words and will. You said that even heaven is not worthy of your kneeling. A great saying. But I'm afraid you don't have the qualifications to say it yet. At this point, Robin stopped for a second and looked the young giant directly in the eyes before saying, Do you want those qualifications? What do you mean? The young giant opened his eyes to the last of them. Do you want to be my first disciple? Disciple? The young giant raised an eyebrow and looked at Robin for a few seconds. You will have to add a few more words? What do I gain from that? There is no doubt that Robin is a genius and most likely a heaven's chosen. But this is for himself. What can he offer him that he can't gain on his own? If he talks about age and life experiences, he is older than Robin, and if he talks about strength, he is much stronger than Robin. In fact, if he was the master in this relationship, it would seem more appropriate. You will be my right hand in my plans here. I will give you strength that you would never have attained in your life without me. I will give you knowledge, too much knowledge that all the inhabitants of this planet wouldn't have gathered it even in another 100,000 years. Are you with me? Robin widened his eyes and spoke confidently, but didn't explain further. The giant looked at him for a long time and then sighed and said, I guess the experience won't hurt, all right? But I won't agree you as master until the results of your teaching begin to show, and I feel like I have really improved. We agreed. Robin extended his hand and shook the giant's hand warmly, then returned to inject life energy into his charred leg. The young giant proudly placed his hand on his chest. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Jabba from the Lightning Tribe. I have a 3rd-degree divine body-strengthening tattoo, and 3 other offensive divine tattoos. I am currently the youngest deputy commander of the peacekeeping forces, the most famous genius in the entire Lightning Tribe lands, and I have some little fame outside our lands. And you? Hello, Mr. Jabba the Genius. My name is Robin Burton. Robin spoke without looking up. And what? Robin gave a sarcastic laugh. You are a new race? An alien from another world? A new race which is also an alien from another world. What are you? What are your plans here? Jabba rained questions without stop. Not now. That's fair, I think. For that wind blade talisman. The giant pointed towards his head. It will stay there, Robin replied curtly. Then what use is this enthusiastic speech and making me a disciple of you damn highness if you don't trust me at all? Jabba threw the bone in his hand toward Robin. Robin let the bone get his back and spoke. First you have to recite a little oath, then I'll start telling you and teaching you everything. Oath? It's okay. I can do it now. I'm Jabba, son of the Lightning Tribe. I swear to... Shoo! What nonsense. Do you think I'm foolish enough to believe this? Wait until I have a decent oath tablet first. Robin looked to the side at Jabba as if he was looking at a clown. Oath tablet? Jabba looked at Robin for a long time but didn't say much more about it. So, what's the plan now, boss? I don't know. Robin's reply. You don't know what to do in our world? Have you come for a picnic? What a strange alien you are. Tisk Robin didn't want to fall into the trap and reply that actually proves that he is from another world or talks about his mission, so he changed the subject. I want to go to human settlement number 53 for now. I have to meet their leader. Oh? At least we have a place to start, but that will have to wait a few days. Nodded Jabba. Why? Robin furrowed his eyebrows. He wanted to get rid of this responsibility that Lori had placed on him so that he could focus on his mission afterward. It has been many hours since I last contacted the headquarters. If the absence continues, they will send a search team behind us. Jabba spoke seriously. What are we going to do then? Robin furrowed his eyebrows. He really forgot about that. Those peacekeeping forces sent one of their deputies after him only because he killed a retired ex-officer. What would happen then if an entire division disappeared in this way, with the deputy commander at their head? It's simple. Everyone who knew about you or the existence of a peculiar human are dead now. It would be easy to mislead the headquarters with a few words from me. Just give me a few days. I will go back to the headquarters and tell them that the terrorist group Fire Salamander is behind all this and that they killed my team while I managed to escape. Then I will take an open vacation from the force and come back to meet you here. Jabba opened his hands and spoke with a smile. What? No, these terrorist groups, you said that they consist of humans and the races other than the giants. They only want a part of their rights as intelligent beings. How can I make the situation more difficult for them? Robin flatly refused. Attaching his actions to innocent people didn't seem like a good idea. Jabba smiled. I knew you were a good person. Don't worry. That is why I chose the right group for the accusation. Fire Salamander Terrorist Group is a group of minor races seeking rights and nonsense by attacking the giant cities and robbing us, but the group heads are giants who fish in troubled waters. This happens a lot. In fact, they take advantage of the widespread issue of terrorist groups to establish their own gangs to steal and increase wealth under the facade of honor and freedom, and the Fire Salamander terrorist group is the largest and most dangerous of this kind. This group is completely run by a few giants. Some of them have third-stage body-strengthening divine tattoo, just like me. The terrorist group of the Fire Salamander is very widespread with thousands of followers, not only in the Land of Lightning, but they have branches in all the lands of all the surrounding tribes, including the Fire Tribe, and because of this they have quite a few people who can use fire attacks. The severity of their danger or reputation will not rise an inch higher after announcing their responsibility for this incident. And if it did, they don't care. And neither should you. So do not worry about it. Oh, I guess it is okay then. Robin nodded and then went back to pumping energy into Jabba's body silently. Because Jabba's injuries from the beginning were not severe, in just 2 hours Robin cured any injury that prevents him from moving freely, but left him the external injuries and burns and even part of the 2 holes in the side of his stomach caused by the demon. It wouldn't be too convenient to talk about himself escaping from a certain death ambush while suffering no wound at all. After that, Jabba stood up and rushed in the direction he came from without adding another word, leaving Robin and the demon to look at each other in silence. For days later, a strong sound of wings flapping echoed over the forest, frightening all the creatures inside it. From afar, it was not apparent whether this was a beast or a huge vehicle, but when it came closer, it looked like a huge lizard with 4 wings, about 7 meters long from head to tail, and it was more than 12 meters long between the ends of the biggest 2 wings. This is where I am supposed to meet the boss, I guess. Am I lost? TSK, if he hadn't killed my beetle, I would have found him by now. Jabba, sitting on top of the winged beast, muttered while looking in all directions. The winged beast cried an angry cry as if preparing to attack. Jabba looked forward again to see what frightened his mount, but he was surprised to see someone sitting in the mid-air. Shit! Jabba quickly grabbed the bridle of the winged beast and redirected it to the far right before it hit the person sitting in the air, then rebalanced the winged beast again, hitting its wings hard in the air while staying put, and looked in the direction of the person sitting in the air again with disbelieving eyes. You are flying! Jabba suddenly shouted after his brain finally analyzed the situation. It was Robin. Robin opened his eyes and looked at Jabba with a smile. You too. What a nice ride you have there. Then he starts descending quickly until he reached the ground. Even though he was dozens of meters high, he landed so smoothly and gently that the dust under his feet wasn't even troubled. This is different. Jabba signaled to his winged beast to hang on to a tree, as it jumped behind Robin with a boom, making a pit in the ground because of his weight, then continued, How can you fly like that? Teach me and I will start calling you master. Robin looked at him in shock. The shamans can't fly, or it's just you? What? No. None of us fly, no matter how strong we become. Neither shamans nor even the dragon giants can fly. I heard that Gravity Tribe can jump longer distances than usual, but that's it. Jabba replied in astonishment, then looked back at him again. Robin was surprised when he heard this. Shamans are the equivalent of saints, so he also thought they could fly here as all the saints do. But he quickly thought, why? Robin currently can fly because he had finally mastered the first stage of the major law of gravity completely, and his energy at the 18th level of knighthood is enough to activate the law around his body sufficiently to fly, so it can be said to be a special case. But as for the normal, when a cultivator enters the sainthood realm of the internal energy system, his energy becomes dense and abundant enough to allow him to counter the effects of gravity and enable him to fly. It is more like oil in water type of situation. Although this will drain larger amounts of energy and cause double fatigue than what Robin currently does, it is still a very important feature in the life of any saint. Robin forgot for a moment that these giants don't have any inner energy at all. Although, in theory, they can attract energy from their surroundings and transform it with the help of the divine tattoo to form the heavenly law of gravity as well, and apparently there is a tribe that is already doing that. But those divine tattoos transform the natural energy into laws in a specific place of the body. It may come out of the leg or arm, for example, because the giants' bodies aren't modified to deal with the laws in the kind of large scoop. It's already harmful using them like they currently do. They also cover their weapons with the laws, which is apparently the best way to use the divine tattoos and will actually lessen the pain. but it cannot cover the whole body with it, so even if the divine tattoo cancelled gravity on the giant's legs, for example, the rest of his body will still pull him down. One other thing is that the amount of energy that a tattoo can transfer at a time is not enough to cancel the effect of gravity on the huge body of giants, even if they can handle the pain. Especially on a planet with gravity like this that makes their massive body weight seem like they can only be calculated in tons. Hee hee. Robin chuckled. Another point counted for the inner energy system. Aye. What are you laughing at? Jabba looked at him in annoyance. Laughing at you losers, haha, you can't fly. Ha ha ha. Robin laughed loudly but quickly recovered himself and continued earnestly. Ahem, forget about flying for now. I will have to teach you an energy system from the beginning, and it will be quite a while until you get to this point. When the right time comes, I will start teaching you. Don't worry. Teaching me a new energy system from the beginning. That sounds awesome. Jabba finally smiled when he heard this. Yeah. Now let's go to human settlement number 53. I don't know how many months it will take us to get to this. Robin spoke annoyed and started scratching his head. According to Lori's words, she and the girls have been with the giants for a long time, maybe years. If over the years the giants travel at the same pace, who knows where that settlement is now? Haha, months? We will get there in just 2 hours with the help of my Draco. Jabba spoke, then whistled loudly, and the winged beast pierced through the thick branches and landed beside him. Draco! Hey, what do you mean by 2 hours? For a moment, Robin's eyes were lost on the huge creature in front of him, but he quickly regained his clarity of mind and asked, The circus has been running in circles all this time. After they complete their travel over all the cities of the Nahari giants they start over, they haven't even gone out of the Lightning Tribe's territory. Human settlement number 53 is not far from here. Jabba smiled and started patting his winged beast. Excellent news. Robin was overjoyed. The sooner he could finish this responsibility, the better. So? Haha, come jump. Don't be afraid he won't bite. I think. Jabba laughed when he saw Robin's hesitation, and he jumped up before him. The winged beast. After a moment of hesitation, Robin jumped up behind him, and then the demon came out of nowhere and sat behind the two of them. The Draco turned his head and started hissing towards the demon, a clear killing intent starting to emanate from it. No, you don't have to, he won't hurt you. Summon, let's go. Jabba patted the neck of the four-winged beast. The Draco's hind feet hit the ground and his four wings hit the air like hammers, and it started rising little by little and quickly got out of sight. The winged beast split the sky whenever it appeared, arousing fear among all the creatures in the blue forest below with every stroke of its wing, and most importantly stirred curiosity in the heart of Robin, who did not take his eyes off him even for a moment. What a marvelous creature! Haha! Do you like the Draco? I can buy you a Draco egg from the next giant city if you want. Jabba laughed out loud. You can buy it? I thought you found it by accident and raised it, or your family got it for you on your puberty ceremony or something. These Dracos can be bought and sold. Robin spoke in shock. This marvelous winged beast has the power of a mid-level saint. Haha, no, where your imagination took you. And what puberty ceremony? Never mind. The Draco eggs can be found in any market in abundance. If you want to raise one, you can buy an egg anytime, anywhere. The eggs are very affordable for most giants. Really? But I wandered through the woods and entered 3 giant cities, and I had never seen one of those before. Robin doubted. Jabba has to be joking with this. You can get an egg for these winged beasts easily? Who wouldn't have one then? There wouldn't have been a single giant that doesn't have a Draco. I'm not exaggerating, Draco's eggs are available everywhere and some kind of cheap as well. One egg could be sold for 1 black banknote. But people simply don't want to raise them, Jabba shrugged. Ha? Robin furrowed his eyebrow. Who wouldn't want a fast means of transportation and a powerful loyal companion like this winged beast? Especially for a race that can't fly no matter how strong it is like giants, these Dracos should be their primary focus to raise. Ha. All right. I won't let you guess for too much. Jabba laughed out loud and then continued. In nature, a single female Draco lays hundreds of eggs in each mating season, but in the end only one of them survives, if at all. This is due to two reasons. The first is that Dracos are by nature highly aggressive, so the first to hatch attacks the rest of the eggs and shatters them. It does not eat them. It only kills his siblings and leaves them there. The second and most important reason is that the Draco's food is extremely limited. They only eat ancient herbs or other powerful creatures that are imbued with spiritual energy, and that is why Draco creatures in nature are very few to the point of extinction. You wouldn't find a mature one roaming around unless you are extremely lucky. It seems that the 2 points are related somewhat. I bet that there are inherited information that is passed down to the newly hatched cubs about the state of their scarce food. So whoever hatches first kills his siblings to have less competition. Robin scratched his chin. Hearing this, Jabba shrugged. Maybe anyway. The big merchants raise their own pair of male and female Dracos and use them to get eggs and sell them. But these eggs are often used to prepare fancy meals. For who has the money needed to feed a Draco? Dracos don't have a certain mature age. If you feed them enough energy-filled food, they will keep growing. If not, they will starve to death after a few years. They are extremely loyal if raised indoors, and can reach power levels to protect entire families. But you need to make them reach that kind of strength first if you can. Whether the ancient herbs or the quality of meat they eat are extremely rare and expensive. Only the most wealthy giants in the land can afford to raise a Draco for personal use. You can't even imagine how much fortune I spent on my little boy here to get this big. Those around me keep saying that I waste my money. But what do? I love the feeling of flying, haha. Ha! Interesting, Robin muttered, then didn't add a word. A little over 2 hours later. Hey boss, we have come to your station. Jabba pointed forward and spoke loudly. Robin sticks his head out from behind Jabba's gigantic back in a comic scene and saw a small town a few kilometers away.
Impossible.
Is this human colony number 53? Are we still inside the territory of the Lightning Tribe? Robin is surprised. By calculating the Draco's flight speed and the time they were in the air, the distance it traveled is certainly greater than the distance between the two farthest points in the Kingdom of the Black Sun. During the last 2 hours of flying, Robin thought Jabba had decided to take a long way and make a detour from nearby lands so they wouldn't be caught. They were going in a straight line all along? How much larger is that Lightning Tribe's land than the Black Sun Kingdom? Haha, of course that is it, Jabba confirmed and then looked behind him. Boss, if I were you, I would tell that thing to hide starting from now. Walking around with a loose demon next to you wouldn't be a good idea. Robin recalled that demons are untamable and detestable creatures in this world. All right, go down some distance before the settlement to leave him there. Just tell that thing to wait for us around the town first, Jabba said without caring. Done. I told him you can go down now. Robin looked at the demon for about 2 seconds, after looking in front of him again and said to Jabba, Good. Jabba turned back and grabbed one of the demon's horns and threw it from above. Kaboom! Are you mad? We are hundreds of meters mid-air. Robin followed the demon with his eyes until he hit the ground with his horns first, then came back to shout at Jabba. Hee, don't worry, those demons have naturally tougher bodies than even ours. A fall like this will only give him a few bruises, if any. Hey, hold on, we are going down, Jabba said, then patted the neck of the four-winged beast and began to descend towards the settlement gate. A winged beast. Beware. Survive with your skins. The scary scene of the Draco landing quickly attracted everyone's attention. Some of them threw the food or whatever tools in their hands and began to run away, and some of them fell to the ground from fear. Shut up, you noisy worms. What are you afraid of, huh? My Draco doesn't eat trash. Jabba jumped on the ground and reassured people in his own way. A way that made Robin furrow his eyebrows before he silently came down behind him. No matter how intelligent Jabba is and no matter how many times he says he doesn't care about the race of the person in front of him, the genes for arrogance and a sense of superiority over the rest of the races were still ingrained in his bones even if he denied it. Sir, how can we help you? Asked one of the humans assigned to guard the gate in apparent fear. Tell the chief of this settlement that Jabba, son of Thander, wants to see him. Jabba declared in a high voice. Of course, please come in and I will let the chief know of your presence. The human bowed and pointed inside the settlement. But Jabba shook his head. Humph. Who do you think I am? Do as I say. Your chief must come out to receive me personally. The guard nodded vigorously several times and ran into the settlement, leaving several people looking at Jabba in fear, and at Robin in puzzlement. Thus Jabba shouted at them, "Go away! I don't want to see a single one of you at sight." Like headless chickens, every one of them ran in a different direction without looking back. "That was unnecessary," Robin said, annoyed by what he saw. Jabba gave a low-pitched chuckle. "You said you only want to meet their chief, right? The chiefs of human settlements have some powers and rights that come close to those of the giants themselves. So many of them act with arrogance toward the rest of the humans, and towards even the weak giants. You wouldn't see the guy without being an important person, or maybe when a disaster happens that requires his appearance. And I don't think you want me to create a disaster here. Do you?" Robin sighed and said nothing. Jabba knows how this world works more than he. It is better to leave this to him. At first, he thought of coming alone and meet that chief in secret, tell him what happened to Lori, and then disappear again. But this would mean that he had to hide around and in the settlement to investigate and identify him, and might require questioning a few people. This would mostly end up with him lurking around for days until he finds that chief alone and in a private place to talk. And even then the settlement chief might doubt his actions and distrust him. And all that for what? For this he decided to bring Jabba with him and made him the one who asked to meet the chief of the settlement. He would directly tell him the few words he came for and just leave. "Haha, welcome, welcome, my lord and master Jabba. I did not think that the day would come when our small settlement would have the honor of you stepping in it. This little Orzon welcomes you." Robin heard a human voice and looked toward the source. An old man was coming their way, wearing new, heavy clothes that covered his whole body. Had a big beard and mustache and long hair that were white as snow. He looked much better off than the rest of the humans Robin had seen so far. "Save this for someone else, we have to talk," Jabba said seriously. "That?" Orzon's old features looked frightened. "All right then, please come with me to my humble tent. That means our little colony will have the honor of having you for a while longer. Haha, come. Orzon began to retreat to the back step by step as he was still facing Jabba, as if he did not dare to give him his back and walk in front of him. Only after about 20 steps and after Jabba and Robin entered the settlement did the old man turn to look in front of him, but he still kept the half-bent position all the way. Robin looked at him with the side of his eye, not knowing if he was sad or disgusted by this old man's actions. He reckons that the humans here have to do these things to survive. But this person has taken the craft to another level. No wonder his clothes and his physical condition are better than the rest of the people he saw. It's clear that he kissed a lot of ass in order to secure a better life for himself. "Greetings, Deputy Jabba. If you need me, don't hesitate to call my name. I will do anything for you, Deputy Jabba." Along the way, voices came from the right and the left. They were giants. But Jabba didn't reply. He was satisfied with looking at them and gave a little nod. Whether the settlement chief actions or the respectable greetings of those giants, it told Robin something about the person who offered to follow him. The whole land of the Lightning Tribe seemed to acknowledge how talented and powerful Jabba was. Then he spread his sense of soul in all directions and closed his eyes as he walked. Quickly he found 11 giants in the settlement. They were all separated, and it was clear that they did not come together. They were catching human girls, feeling their bodies and squeezing their breasts. A few of them were catching the young males who were randomly passing by in the streets, and would start feeling their muscles apparently to see if they can do the hard work waiting for them. And behind every giant, there were a few girls of boys, some of them crying and some waving to their parents for distance. They knew their destiny was sealed and that they have found their role. Clearly, those giants were here to do shopping. As for the settlement itself, it is small, too small that it can be called a village, more appropriate than the word settlement. Its walls are short, any wild rabbit or dog can jump over it. There is little to no protection, yet the population is about 5,000 individuals, and more than half of them are children. In some tents, Robin observed more than 7 children, the oldest of whom was 8 years old. It is clear that the women who were not taken away were exhausted by pregnancy to insanely increased offspring. It was understandable, or at this rate of losing the youth, there shouldn't be any human settlement here. Haha. Please you go ahead. The settlement chief gave a full bow when he reached the largest and cleanest tent in the settlement and signaled to Jabba to enter, then signaled to the rest of the people around them to go to their work. After Jabba and Robin came in and sat on cushions on the floor, Orzon came after and sat down in front of them and looked at Jabba with a big smile. Go ahead, my lord. How can this little one help you? Tisk, don't you feel shame, old man? How old are you? Robin is starting to get annoyed at the man calling himself this little one. The situation from the start and so far is so uncomfortable. The head of the settlement looked at him strangely, as if he had noticed him for the first time, and then spoke forcefully. Didn't your parents teach you to remain silent in the presence of the lords unless they are addressed to you? Which settlement produced you, brat? I will teach you a lesson today on their behalf. Sorry for that, Master Jabba. Ha ha ha, I didn't see that coming. Hey, old man, who wants to talk to you is Robin, not me. Jabba laughed out loud when he saw Robin being taught a lesson by his elder. Orzon looked at the giant in astonishment and then looked back at Robin again, this time with a closer examination, but he found nothing of importance. Robin is taller than normal humans by about 30 centimeters 1 ft, looks skinny compared to an average human, and has very low bone and muscle density, but his overall features still say he's closer to humans than any other race. Maybe he was born with deformities or something like that. If there's anything weird about him, it's that he can walk around with such a scrawny body. But that's not his issue to think about. Robin, huh? A strange name. So how can I help you, Sir Robin? Orzon asked politely and with a smile this time. Even if the person in front of him is a human slave, the fact that Jabba accompanied him here so that he can say something means that this thing is important, or that Robin himself is important. Either way, the strange human with the strange name deserves respect now. Tisk, when Orzon changed to treat him politely and called him respectfully, Robin felt even more uncomfortable. Just because Jabba said he came for him, suddenly he became worthy of respect? Only giants have the power to decide who should be respected here. Robin couldn't wait to say what he came for and then get out of here without a single extra moment. Listen, do you know a girl named Lori? Robin spoke seriously. Lori? No, can't recall a certain face to it. We have had a lot of girls with that name. Can you explain more, please? Did one of the settlement girls misbehave with the masters? Orzon smiled. Lori is a talkative, good-looking girl. She was in a caravan with 7 giants. She said that her mother was the victim of the assault of 4 giants here inside the settlement. She said that you and her father let this happen. Do you remember her now? A look of contempt still stuck in his eyes as he spoke the entire time. That Lori, you mean Arceus's daughter? Yeah, I remember her. She is a good girl. What about her? I know the girl. She understands her role, and she wouldn't make trouble for the masters. Is she all right? Chief Orzon replied, smiling, as if he had heard about an old friend. TCH. Robin murmured when he saw that this man didn't care about his involvement in Lori's mother's death. He didn't try to defend himself or explain for a moment. No, she's not okay. She died. I killed her, blew her up and burned her and 10 other girls along with her as well. Robin responded directly. Oh. Chief Orzon was silent for a moment. So they must have done something wrong then and must have deserved this. Did you two come here to complain about what they did? Go ahead and speak. We will do everything in our power to teach a lesson to our future products. Robin was left stupefied at this reply. This was his way to test the old man's true response, trying to figure out why Lori told him to come and speak to this guy. But yet again he was left disappointed. Robin really wanted to punch this guy in the face as hard as he can. But he held himself, sighed, and then spoke. Lori was following the giants of a moving circus caravan, and I was one of the prisoners in that caravan. And to allow me to escape, she sacrificed herself and became a target for the giant city guard. And for some reason, she made me swear to tell you everything she saw me do, and I'm the one who keeps my promises. I came today to tell you what she wanted. I don't know why, but I have to clear my conscience. A fake look of astonishment appeared on Chief Orzon's face, after which he nodded gently and smiled as if he was waiting to hear the rest. My first meeting with Lori was in a forest when she found me in bad shape. Then, Robin started talking non-stop about everything that had happened since that day, and how she helped feed him and wash the blood and fruit juice from his body. Doesn't matter minor, the detail is he didn't miss a thing. Of course, he said everything that happened from Laurie's perspective. There are many things he started to leave behind as the story goes, such as his plans, the laws he studied and activated, and so on. These were not part of his promise anyway. As for Chief Orzon, he started interacting with Robin's story by nodding and smiling, as if everything he heard did not concern him, but his features changed when he heard about Robin sending the message to the demon. The smile on his face wiped off, and his goofy, unfocused look turned into a serious one. Even Robin noticed these changes and furrowed his eyebrow a little, but he continued non-stop and started telling the situation of trying to use fire to melt the metal bars to escape, then how the girls stopped him and promised to help him. Robin felt the old man's body twitch from the beginning of this part to the end. He even opened his mouth several times and seemed to want to say something, except that every time he restrained himself when he saw Robin still talking, as if he was afraid that his intervention would make Robin forget something from his story. Indeed, Robin continued without stopping, with no apparent changes in him all along. Even as he explains his plan to escape when he was about to die, and how Laurie uncuffed the demon and how it rushed out to fight the head of the caravan under his orders. He kept his straight face from the start with no changes. By when his story reached the point where he blew up the girls to save them from a more terrible fate, that changed. The words came out of his mouth with difficulty, as if he could see the scene in front of his eyes. But he held himself long enough to complete it. He kept going until the moment he saw Laurie's severed head, and he retreated into the darkness of the alley, and then said, "Well, that is it. I don't know why Laurie made me promise to tell you about it, as I know you don't care. I hope you can keep what you heard here for yourself and don't say a word to anyone. I see you are a smart man who knows how to survive, so I advise you to forget everything. Will, I know I took much of your time for nothing, so thank you for being patient till the end, and for listening." Robin was about to stand up and gesture for Jabba to leave the tent to quickly get out of this place when he caught a strange sight. He saw tears falling from the eyes of the settlement chief Orzon. The guy didn't even care when he told him the girl was killed horribly, but suddenly he is crying now. Robin looked at Jabba at his side, perhaps understanding from his features why that old man was sobbing. But he found Jabba looking at the old man also with knotted eyebrows, obviously not understanding what is going on with him either. But Jabba was more decisive, and stood up and spoke to Robin. "Come on, let's go. You have fulfilled what you came for. Let the old man drown in his sorrows alone." Robin nodded and took one last look at Orzon. He didn't know what exactly made him cry, but that didn't matter to him anymore. But when he straightened his seat and was about to stand up, he found a hand clutching his wrist. "Sir, are you a heaven's chosen?" Robin looked at Orzon, whose look of loss in his eye turned into a fierce one. "Let my hand go, old man." "What the? Please answer me. For Laurie to send you here, that means she didn't see tattoos on your body when she was bathing you. You have a way of using energy other than tattoos, don't you? And a way to speak with the demons. Laurie and the rest of the girls sacrificed their lives and sent you here to tell me that one truth. Don't you want to make their death meaningful? Don't you want to fulfill your oath? You will do it only if you answer this one question." The head of the settlement tightened his hand more and began to insist. A look of intense shock began to appear on Robin's face, and the old man's behavior changed completely. That was frightening. A few minutes ago he looked like an experienced pimp, yet now he is shouting and asking about heaven's chosen. But before he could answer himself, Jabba interjected. "He doesn't know whether he is a heaven's chosen or not, but as I see it, he really is one. Will you let go of his hand now, human? We have other places to go." Orzon gave a long exhale when he heard this, and 2 seconds later he let go of Robin's wrist, stood up, and then took 2 steps toward Jabba. "Thank you for bringing Mr. Robin here, but I'm afraid you are not going anywhere after today." "Huh? And what is going to stop me, human?" Jabba looked at the person who didn't even reach the height of his waist and spoke with contempt. "I understand that Mr. Robin is an honest person and has come to fulfill his promise. But what are you doing here, son of thunder?" Old Orzon spoke, his hands turning into a fist. "Did Mr. Robin promise you to help you if you would allow him to carry out his request? Or did you come to brag before us that you got to the chosen one of the heavens before we reached him?" "Tsh, you have a big mouth, old man. But I'm not interested in entertaining you today." Jabba spoke and then looked at Robin. "Shall we go now, please?" "I said you aren't going anywhere," the old man shouted, then pulled his heavy clothes and threw them to the ground. A broken shield appeared covering only the area of his upper chest, and small thunderbolts began to erupt from his fists. "Oh my God!" Robin opened his eyes to the end. The old man's body covered with divine tattoos like those on the bodies of giants. And not any tattoos either. Those small thunderbolts mean that he has a second-stage body-strengthening divine tattoo and lightning-attacking divine tattoo. And that is not it. Robin could clearly sense a great power from this old man's body. A power equivalent to a mid-leveled saint. Damn me! How did he not notice his strength in the first place? He underestimated him so much that he didn't even try to find out anything about him. Until Jabba furrowed his eyebrows and his gaze changed. A medium-leveled shaman? How did a rat like you survive the Peacekeeper's investigation for so long? And you even got yourself a settlement to hide in? It seems that we have really failed in our mission. Kneel now and put your hands behind your head if you want the day to pass while you are breathing. The old man spoke seriously. Ha ha ha, senile old man. Even if I was a medium-leveled shaman as well, I would still have knocked you down. But I'm strong enough to put on a level 3 body-strengthening divine tattoo. Do you think you have a chance against me? What a joke! Jabba laughed out loud. Suddenly Orzon whistled loudly in a specific tone, and within 1 second Robin felt several people surrounding the tent. Even Jabba started to look around with a serious look. There are at least 12 individuals around the tent, and they are all standing in a hostile posture, ready to attack at any given moment. Some of them are starting to emit small thunderbolts from their hands already. Well, that you don't see every day, Jabba muttered in shock. It is not in your interest, old man, even if you somehow manage to keep me here. There are still so many witnesses out there, the whole settlement will be wiped out. Those giants, you mean? The village is being besieged as we speak. Not a single one of them will get out alive either. Now kneel down. I won't repeat my words for a third time. Chief Orzon stressed his words this time, looking ready to attack at any moment. Tch. Jabba finally started to understand how serious this dwarf was, and then looked at Robin. A little help here? Aha! Robin's eyes finally regained their focus and turned his eyes away from Chief Orzon's body before speaking. Hey Chief, Jabba is working with me. He is not dangerous. This was the first time Robin respected the old man enough to call him Chief. What do you mean he works with you? How is it possible that he works with you? Do you really know who this guy is? Orzon spoke seriously to Robin, but his eyes were still fixed on Jabba. Yeah, I know who he is. Robin can appreciate the leader's position, and Jabba is the one who's supposed to hunt down his ilk. Jabba and I have a master-student relationship. Please put down your weapon. He is not dangerous. Maybe I'm not a threat to you, but to these guys. Tsk. Jabba looked at the leader with a look full of provocation. Shut your mouth. You are not going to be a threat to them either. We didn't see anything today. Okay? Robin raised his voice at Jabba, and then spoke seriously to Orzon. Okay. Whatever you say, boss. Jabba raised his hand and said sarcastically. He had no way out of here but to listen to Robin anyway. Master! Orzon finally turned his face and looked at Robin with a look of complete bewilderment and even some anger. You revealed your secrets to a giant, to Jabba specifically, and took him as a disciple? I didn't say anything to Jabba. He is the one who found out that I'm different and decided to stick with me. Second of all, do I know you? Stop talking like I'm your little cousin. Robin felt strangely being reprimanded by this strange old man. Orzon was silent for a few seconds, then went aside and put on his heavy coat again, returned to his original seat, and motioned to the pillow in front of him. Mr. Robin, please sit here. We have something to talk about. Robin furrowed his eyebrows for a moment, but in the end, he sat in front of him. This mysterious old man was very interesting to him. You keep standing where you are. Old Orzon pointed at Jabba when he saw him step forward to sit down as well. Despicable terrorist. Jabba muttered in a low voice. When was the last time he was humiliated like this? Orzon made a movement to clean his ear, then directed it towards Jabba and asked, "You said something?" Repeat it again, slowly this time. "No, I didn't say anything. Humans can get divine tattoos? Isn't that something that was designed for the giants?" Robin asked right before old Orzon added another word. The old man furrowed his eyebrows for a moment upon hearing this question, but upon seeing the look of interest and happiness on Robin's face, he sighed and spoke. "It is indeed something that is dedicated to the giants, but nothing is completely out of hand if you really wanted it. Everything has a way out. All you need is money or a strong Nahari giant supporting you. You can pay huge amounts of money to an unethical divine tattoo master, and he will draw you whatever you want regardless of your race. Or you can just kidnap one of the divine tattoo masters and force him to draw it for you if all the roads are closed in front of you. But of course, everything should go in complete secrecy. If anyone who is not a giant is found with a tattoo on his body with no Nahari giant taking responsibility for it and providing an explanation, then his punishment is immediate killing without trial, imprisonment, or even hearing a word. This phenomenon is not rare, especially in the last few thousand years. Groups upon groups of inferior races began to get divine tattoos, and they are the ones who are called terrorists, and your noble student here pursues them to eliminate them. So the number of humans and other races who takes the risk and get tattoos is not small, but it is not large either. And it seems I haven't done enough, Jabba sarcastically said. One settlement holds several individuals with stage 2 body-strengthening tattoos? Tisk, it seems that even the peacekeepers have become slack in these lands. Yeah, that's a good idea. Keep provoking me. This will make it easier for me to give the order to kill you in a little while. Orzon spoke without looking at him. Tisk. These are some huge news. I didn't know that humans can use the divine tattoos to this degree. Robin muttered after fixing his eyes and spiritual sense on Chief Orzon for a few seconds. It's because they can't, Jabba replied, quartered his hands, and spoke in exasperation. Divine tattoos are specially designed for the giant race. If another race uses them, the user will pay a high price. Right, old man? Orzon cast a sideways glance toward Jabba and then usually to face Robin. What this giant said, unfortunately, is true. The body-strengthening divine tattoo does not work on the human body as efficiently, and the user's muscles may explode suddenly or cause them permanent disability. In addition to that, every time the attacking tattoos are activated, it draws from the user's life energy. That short confrontation a minute ago took a few months out of my life. Orzon was silent for a bit after looking into Robin's eyes and spoke with a smile. But all of this will be a thing of the past now. We have our own heavens chosen. The third heaven chosen was born of us, humans. Well, one of you should start explaining to me what the term heavens chosen means, Robin said, annoyed. I can't tell you what heaven's chosen ones are, as we don't really know. Orzon shook his head. But I can tell you about the former 2 heavens chosen. Please do. That's all I want. But Jabba doesn't seem to want to tell me about them. Robin nodded hard. Maybe does not know like most giants, but knowing Jabba, I think he most likely does not want to talk about the subject. Young giants are told to respect the 2 heaven chosens only, but will not know their history and their stories unless they search deeply on their own in some ancient history books. The 2 heaven chosens are the pride of the giants, but they are the biggest disgrace in their history as well. TCH. The look of annoyance increased on Jabba's face, but he found nothing to defend himself with, so he remained silent. Listen from this old man then. So, we have secret information and documents that are passed on to important people of our race from generation to generation. I might be able to answer your question in a satisfying way, Orzon said, changing his look to a very serious one. Life appeared on this planet hundreds of millions of years ago when the first intelligent beings were born. We currently call them the owners of the ancient bloodline, or the pure ones, but slowly and mixing with nature and other less intelligent races, that line of pure blood began to mutate and many different races appeared, such as the Nahari giants, humans, demons, and many others, and of course every individual began to tend to protect his children and family and to isolate himself from those who are different from him, and all people of the same race began to converge and settle in one place to protect themselves. And thus began to spread the phenomenon of the existence of villages that is dedicated to certain races, then small cities. It kept on that way until every race had his own kingdom. This was not a problem in the beginning due to the huge size of the planet Nahari. But with the passage of thousands and millions of years, the number of intelligent creatures began to increase. These kingdoms need natural resources, and they have to secure lands for hunting, agriculture, water sources, and others' recourses. And of course, wars began to spread among different races on land ownership. Wars between different races, my little friend, are not something that stops at victory or defeat. Hatred for what is different was enough to turn them from wars of resources to wars of extermination. We have documents that at least 12 races have disappeared from the face of the planet in that era. Then the era of energy training appeared, which began 400,000 years ago. Someone discovered a way to pass energy inside his body to strengthen it and began to teach the rest of his species. Then the method began to spread like wildfire until it reached all races. The documents passed to us say that we humans were the first to reach this innovation technique first, and the other races other than the giants knows that. But of course, this information was completely erased by the Nahari giants and rewrote history to convince their new generations that they are the masters and delude their children to think that they are a superior and more intelligent race from the beginning. But this is a lie. Anyway, up to that time all races had a roughly equal chance of winning or losing even after the era of energy training had begun. If there was one race that had an advantage, it was us, humans. Because of the energy system we created suited us better, we would use it to crush our enemies, and we were the first and only race to establish two kingdoms at the same time. But it all ended when the first heavens chosen.